You good? Ready, Ed? Mayor, you're good.
Dragon.
Okay.
Thought it was great.
Good evening, everybody. We're on, just so you know. Pursuant to Section 5, Chapter 231, 1975, this is to state for the record that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the public by posting and maintaining the annual notice of regular meetings on the bulletin board of the municipal building, by mailing the annual notice of regular meetings for 2024 to the News Record and the Star Ledger in December 2023, and by filing said notice in the office of the township clerk.
Ms. Craig,
Here.
Mr. Daffis,
Here.
Mr. DeLuca,
Here.
Ms. Engel,
Here.
Mayor Adams.
Here, please rise for a salute to the flag.
Whereas chapter,
Oh, sorry.
First. Yep.
I'm just.
whereas chapter 231, Public Laws 1975, commonly known as the Open Public Meetings Act, requires all meetings of public audience to be open to the public. And whereas section 7A provides that the governing body has the discretion to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation of the public at any meeting. And whereas desire of the governing body to comply with the provisions that this act, same time and conduct its business in an orderly and expeditious manner. Now therefore be resolved by the Township Committee, Township of Maplewood, County of Essex, State of New Jersey, does hereby prohibit, except as set forth in the formal agenda, active participation in the deliberations of the governing body by the public, and except as otherwise prescribed by law, does limit the public to the observations of the actions and discussion of the governing body at all of its regular and special meetings.
So moved. Second.
Scribe,
Yes.
Mr. Daffis,
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca,
Yes.
Ms. Engel,
Yes.
Mayor Adams.
Yes, thank you. Now let's stand for the salute to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Life.
All right. So I'm welcoming everybody here for our first budget workshop for the 2024 municipal budget. Tonight, we will workshop the budgets of the Department of Community Services, which includes recreation, cultural affairs, and the pool. Then we'll move into engineering, public works, followed by administration and clerk. Briefly, I'll just let you know that the hard decisions we made during the pandemic are starting to reap dividends in 2024, according to our CFO. A majority of our miscellaneous revenues have rebounded to their pre-pandemic levels. Our debt service has been increased, but that is in large part for our library renovation. And when we receive our grant payments, we will also see significant relief in that obligation. So we still have much work ahead of us, and our discussions regarding capital projects will be a driving factor in the 2024 budget. We won't be discussing salaries in open session, nor will we discuss revenues tonight. They will be discussed at a later workshop. And CFO Joe reports that we are in the best shape financially that we have been since he started here in 2018. Is that right?
Of course, 2018, yes.
There you go. So with that, I won't waste any more time, and we'll kick it off with our Department of Community Services Director, Melissa Mancuso.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Township Committee. I was going to just go over the overview of the department. We have several divisions, and I was going to start with our mission statement, which is to provide entertaining, safe, and varied recreational programs and services to the township's diverse population in a cost-effective and progressive manner. We constantly strive to review, improve, and expand our programs and services to keep pace with the changes and needs of the entire community. We stand by our motto, all for fun and fun for all, and our focus is programming that's affordable and accessible for all residents. Our department staffing, which is really where all the magic happens, from our full-time staff to our seasonal camp counselors, making all of our programs possible and a great experience. It is administered by myself, the Director of Community Services. We have full-time staff of a program supervisor for senior services, a manager of recreation. We now have 2 program supervisors of recreation here in Town Hall, a manager of arts and culture, art director, arts and culture event coordinator, a facilities manager, pool maintenance foreman. And we're looking to add to our team for some custodial staff in the rec division. Our department also employs a lot of part-time staff through the year, including program instructors, fitness instructors, art instructors, coaches, building attendants, site supervisors. And then seasonally, we have lifeguards, front desk staff, patio staff, a lot of camp staff, directors, counselors, craft camp staff, tennis team of about 14, basketball staff, and then seasonal park attendants. So we have a great team making all of these programs possible. And the facilities include, we have our town hall office, the DeHart Community Center, the Maplewood Pool, the Woodland 1978, the Bergdorf Center for Performing Arts, the Maplewood Senior Center. That's everything. And then the parks and fields that are under our purview are Borden Park, DeHart Park, Maple Crest, Memorial Park, Orchard Park, and Walter Park. So I tried to briefly cover some highlights because we have, of course, year-long programming. And I just wanted to go over some highlights from the different divisions. In the rec division, a few highlights are our free for all community events. We offered the Winter Wonderland. This was in 23. We've already done another one since then. We had our free movies in the park where we've been going to different parks in different neighborhoods in the summertime. And the end of winter ice skating event we started last year, and we will be doing that again on Saturday at DeHart because it was a great success. We executed a 4th of July event with fireworks and fun, which turned into a dance party, you may recall, at Memorial Park. And we have added pickleball programming since our courts were complete. Over at DeHart, we have senior pickleball lessons and then active adults as well. So those are some new things. Our camp accomplishments for last year, Kids Camp had 914 in attendance, including full day before and after care. Funky Fun Art had 455. Summer Tennis was 197. Ultimate Frisbee about 89. Drill Skills and Thrills Basketball Camp was expanded to 4 weeks based on demand, and we had 160 slots for that sold out. Maplecraft was 74. Our Mermaid Camp had 38. And Dive Camp was 22 in attendance. So that's about 1,949 camp spots throughout the different divisions in the mostly summertime. So our goals for 2024 are to offer more workshops like we had last weekend of puppy yoga, where a charity benefited as well. And hopefully puppies were adopted. And it was heartwarming fun for us. And it was also a give back to the community and the charity. We plan on offering new camps for different specialties for a broader range of summertime fun in some different disciplines, and expanding and evaluating our current programming with the lens of inclusion for opportunities for all. And then there's just a little picture of Reptile Day at camp. Okay. The senior division, some accomplishments are expanding fitness class. We added some half-hour classes for our on-the-go registrants, and we have new offerings like bands only, not like a rock band, like the Resistance bands, and our Happy Dance class, which is really popular too. Some new programming was a book swap and soup luncheon. We had the Quattro de Mayo Fitness Expo as part of the Mayor's Wellness Campaign. We have a bridge club, additional art offerings. We've added drawing and some watercolor classes and some extended lunch and learn offerings. So we took a lot of trips last year with the seniors, but some new ones to touch on were the Dryer Farms trip. They went holiday shopping in Red Bank this year. And the seniors really wanted Michelle to take them to the American Mall, so they went on that trip and they had a great time there. And then we took a jitney to Columbia High School, Something Rotten in the Spring, which was a favorite, and they get to do their dress rehearsal in front of a live audience of our seniors. So that's a good partnership too. We also began emailing the spotlight instead of all the paper mailing. So there's some bumps in the road there, and there's some people that still want it in the mail, but it is available now electronically also. Some goals for the upcoming year are a monthly book club for our avid readers and making the senior center a meeting spot for that and using our little library we have there. I would like to add nutrition classes in the spring. We have a new instructor to start with some hands-on cooking as well. New art offerings, expanded fitness classes, and hanging some of our senior art in the senior center and kind of changing it by monthly because we have a lot of art programming right now and a lot of work is coming out of that. And some intergenerational activities we're working towards is a hike on probably a weekend, some fitness classes using the scout troops that use DeHart for their meeting place. So we have Girl Scout and Boy Scout troops using that, and hopefully we can do some intergenerational. And this is just one of my favorite pictures of a senior fitness class in the summer. Yeah, that was a good picture day. Soma Two Towns for All Ages has been working very hard. Amy Stewart has developed a lot of programming and added on. So some accomplishments there are the 2023 Senior Resource Guide, the 2023 Volunteer Fair. She helped create FORT, which is a new group figuring out retirement together for new retirees. And it's a younger subset of active adults, which we've been trying to get that demographic involved in our programming as well. Maintaining the Soma Two Towns website and engaging the Maplewood Senior Apartments, offering support to those residents and making sure they're included in a lot of programming. And also she called me after I produced this because we started the shoveling volunteer program too that Amy worked towards. So matching families with people that needed shoveling. So that worked out in our first storm. So that's another accomplishment. In 2024, we hope to provide transportation assistance to older adults and disabled residents, doctor's appointments outside of Essex County, and maybe rides on nights and weekends. Work on the township's affordable housing committee to help with home sharing as an option to help older adults age in place. A bigger and better volunteer fair, growing FORT's participation in programming, of course, new programming that will reach a broader audience. And we're looking to add to Maplewood Senior Apartments drawing art classes in this coming spring. The Arts and Culture Division had many accomplishments, including the redesign of the Maplewood Arts and Culture website, launching Studio Bergdorf with filmmaking, middle school fine arts, and printmaking workshops, among others. The introduction of MAPSO Follies, which was in November, and over 400 people attended for a great show. Hosted 7 successful exhibitions at the 1978 Arts Center, including the end-of-year winter market with over 18 artists participating to buy holiday goods for our residents. And worked with the Strollers, Interact, and Theater Project to support a robust theater schedule at the Bergdorf. Some 2024 goals, continuing long-range planning of art spaces, including the Bergdorf Theater, steadily increasing foot traffic to the 1978 and engaging with shows and programming, and supporting events and programs of local community and arts groups to reach community-wide goals, help support them. And there's a fun Follies photo. At the pool, some accomplishments were appointing a new foreman who has had great success as an operator of the pool. So a really big accomplishment is passing all biweekly water tests from the state without one closure or any fails at all. The pool staff successfully handling heat wave openings where we had increased attendance at the pool. Successful lifeguard certification course, which brought us 11 new lifeguards. Accommodated 366 kids for swim lessons. offered a new sold-out novice swim for first-time swimmers, adult swimmers. The recreation swim team boasted 75 Makos members. We had Dog Day of Summer again with 196 dogs. We executed the pool accessibility memberships to expand our membership. Hosted 7,542 members for the season, among guests also, of course. And conducted in-service trainings for staff, along with 2 employee appreciation events, a tie-dye night, an ice cream party to make the workplace fun because they're working a lot of extensive hours and we know, we couldn't do it without our staff. Some 2024 goals are to expand and enhance operations for a larger outgo, larger bather load, and have more people at the pool. The completion of the pool resurfacing project, hiring a full-time pool maintenance worker to assist the foreman, recruiting and onboarding new seasonal staff, cross-training existing staff to understand our whole operation, retaining strong staff members and promoting internally to give, people to work through, get some leadership roles and stay with us at the pool. And to transform the locker rooms to a cleaner, more inviting space, including the addition of a family changing room, which engineering will be speaking on. And here's just a fun photo. Sometime. So we will continue to work with and take into advisement suggestions from the Rec Advisory Committee, Pool Advisory Committee, Health and Community Services Subcommittee, Senior Advisory Committee, and the Maplewood Arts Council and our residents. And we're grateful for the support and confidence of the administration and the governing body and our engaged mayor, deputy mayor, township committee members. And we plan on increasing services, some staffing and smiles as we continue the motto of all for fun and fun for all.
Thank you very much. CFO or Administrator Weary, do you have anything to add or clarify, anything you want to say? Okay. I'll open it up to my colleagues for questions.
We're gonna go over the lines.
Oh, yeah, that's what we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions about the narrative, though?
No.
I have one question about the narrative. Thank you for awesome narrative. My favorite picture is the one of whoever that is from the diving board.
It's me.
What's that? That's you? No, I don't think that's you.
Look hard.
The summer highlights.
You wish you looked like
About
that.
20 years ago.
Yeah. That's an awesome picture. That should go on our website.
Yes.
Okay, so I have one question. I love what you said about the 2024 goals. Your first bullet there is, and I'm quoting, continue long-range planning of our art spaces, including the Bergdorf Theater, end quote. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Is there certainly, are you engaged currently in a long-range facilities plan?
Currently, no, I know that we have notes from the master plan meetings, and then we've had conversations about the Bergdorf being converted to an in the round, space. So that was some of the future planning ideas, enhancing the lighting grid and things like that, probably 2025 budget requests, but those are some of the conversations that have come in the different sub meetings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we've talked about in budget after budget is a facility utilization plan, right? As we fill some of these positions and we have arts and culture happening and we want to meet some of the other goals that you stated here in your overview, we have to take another look at how we utilize our spaces that we have, right? So if we're going to do more arts and culture in the Bergdorf, we can't use summer camp for everything. If we want to do 1978 more arts exhibits and stuff like that throughout the year, not just we can't take up the whole summer with summer camp in 1978 by way of examples, right? So these are the kinds of things that we've talked about. And I don't know about the rest of my colleagues, but I'd like to see us, focus on that. And as you stated very eloquently, it is indeed part of the master plan recommendations to have a utilization plan for our spaces. That's all.
Well, I'll just say that Mr. Weary and Ms. Mancuso and I had a meeting the other day to talk about they're going to work together on developing, basically, so we can see the year-long events, which ones we co-sponsor, which ones we don't, and try to get sort of a handle on that so that we know when and what, and if there's time and if there's bandwidth to do certain things at certain times. We have a better idea if we can do a planning calendar. So that might help, feed the information for the use of the facilities too.
Yeah, I mean, an events calendar is great, and we should have that too. But what I'm talking about is bigger than that. Mine has to do with our vision and forward planning of how we utilize our spaces. That's
Right,
all.
which is what I mean. So
Yeah,
that we
yeah.
know what's going on and what's scheduled and what, if somebody requests something, sorry, we have that facility's used up. We need, just so we have a clear picture of that. Some of that, a little bit less spur of the moment stuff, so we can not overburden our staff, overwhelm everybody. But we'll get that. You guys are gonna work on that together. Does anybody have any more questions?
I just want to add to what Mr. Daffa said. I know that we've talked about how some of our facilities aren't necessarily advantageous for camp programming because of the art and changeover and whatnot. But I do want to call attention to the fact that we do need more affordable camp options. I think with Funky Fun Art leaving and becoming way more expensive, and it's a conversation in the community right now, there are not affordable camp options. So I like the goal of expanding camp and making it inclusive. So I just want to make sure we're keeping that as part of the conversation as we're looking at the facilities to know that we do need to use some of our facilities to provide camp, which is childcare for working parents over the summertime.
Right, and the way it's structured, I mean, the idea around a lot of the exhibits, most of them happen after like 4 o'clock. So you could use these spaces in 2 different ways, just by how you structure how they put their supplies and put things down. The kids, things can be put aside, so an event or an activity could happen in the very same space that the camp is meeting.
Sometimes.
Well, sometimes. I mean, I hear the concern about an art studio. You can't, it's really hard to have a camp with art on the walls because no matter how careful you are, things get messy. So
Mhm.
I do understand that concern that it limits what we can do at the art gallery if we're holding camp there. I'm just saying that we do need affordable camps. So we need to balance everything to figure out what is going to be the best for our community and the most amount of people in our community when we're looking at this.
Yes, and we don't plan on using the 1978 for a camp. We did do it last summer for the half day. And the half day option isn't as attractive. And the half day was because there was really no outside space to bring the kids. So we went half day for that reason. But if we utilize other buildings where we can walk to a park and have some outside space and like lawn and things like that. So the 1978 isn't being planned for a camp, but we have other buildings that have some outdoor options too.
Okay. And Mr. DeLuca?
Yeah, I have three questions. In line 370-104, which is the program personnel, it says replace fun art.
Nice.
That's tough to say.
Yeah.
And then it says increase programming. So the number goes down. We spent 352,000 last year. We're spending 310 this year. How are we increasing programming and reducing staff?
Well, the programming is going to be these other camps that I mentioned. So it's going to be a Maple Craft Camp. We're going to expand that to be the full day, get it out of the 1978. And then we're trying to add some other camps also, like some sewing, robotics, STEM, things like that. So it's not going to take the whole amount that we expended last year because I think Funky Fun got up to like 35 part-timers. So it's going to be like somewhere in the middle for the new camps to start. And they're not going to be that large of an outgo, probably like groups of 30. So we're still going to be onboarding new personnel while some are leaving.
And then just a similar question, the 370-206 recreation program supplies. You talk about more programming, but you're proposing to go down from 132,000 that we actually spent to 125,000. Is that also because of the art?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So it won't be like the abundance of that long camp but we're going to still need some new supplies for the other camps. But
Okay.
so
And then the custodian, could you talk a little bit in your narrative, you talked about having a full-time custodian.
Yeah,
So, and it says here, remove from PY budget. Is that supposed to be Public Works budget?
What?
Where?
Year.
Oh, prior year budget. Joe, you have to give us the
I
glossary.
was gonna say, you could tell Joe wrote that because I didn't know what that meant.
Prior, so what does that mean? Who do we cut that from?
You're on.
You're on,
Yeah, go.
or maybe
close
not.
though.
Maybe you're on that other phone.
The
other-
2022 budget, we had put it in the 2023 budget, Mr. Schuster removed it.
Okay.
So I'm guessing Ms. Mancuso is looking to put it back in the 2024 budget.
Okay, so, could you talk, I see, okay. Could you talk about what will be different with this as opposed to, you mentioned about not doing the outsourcing. What is the why would we want to bring in somebody as opposed to continue to use the outsourcing?
Well, we were trying to add somebody to work alongside the DPW because they, have great custodians. But in the summertime, we are adding on in the camps to like 3 visits a week just to keep everything clean because everybody's eating lunch in there too. So I mean, there's like big messes. And then the park restrooms are another challenge that we're having. So the outside cleaning companies have come for those 3 a weeks in the case of DeHart to keep everything sanitized and the windows and everything like that, and the park restrooms, which we're getting a lot of revisits. So we had it set up originally for like once a week. Then that wasn't clean enough. We were doing twice a week. We went to 3 times. And then sometimes a resident will call and say, I'm at the park. You can't even walk in the bathroom, messes like that. So we're calling out to get these cleaned. So we used to have years ago a seasonal park attendant, and that job became impossible to fill. So it was vacant for a long time, couldn't find anybody to do it. So the effort was to try to make a full-time position, which would be attractive with benefits and cover the bathrooms and our rec buildings in the busy season and, year round in the off season too.
So if we were to hire an additional full-time custodian, why would we not keep that person in Public Works where the other custodians are, and then just assign that person to the parks during the summer? As opposed to hiring another person in recreation and then having one custodian here and one custodian here, and who's doing what, and what if somebody's out? Can you move people?
I think Ms. Mancuso has a need, at least in the summer, for a full-time person. For cleaning of bathrooms and camp areas, they could certainly work underneath DPW. But it would be the same budget impact as a total.
It would be or would not be?
Would be, I
No,
mean,
no, I understand that. I'm just looking at, if we're going to add a person,
Yep.
I just think having 2 custodial operations doesn't make sense.
Right.
And I did check with Mr. Kittner to make sure the salary was in line with his custodians, just so there was so it should match up with the pay.
So then are we in agreement that they should be under Public Works?
Well, if we decide to do that,
Yeah,
if we
yeah.
decide to do that, I think, a full-time person as opposed to a full-time summer person might be different. I don't know. I think we have to have that conversation. And just, I'm sorry, one last, I was a little confused at 375-203 cultural programming. Says cover apothecarium donation. What does that mean?
I was going to ask that too.
So that, I think the column is different because the actual spend,
Happy to answer.
okay, yeah, go ahead.
You worked on getting a donation from the Apothecarium to handle the Black History Month
Right.
programming.
Yeah.
The previous manager spent that money on us.
Spent that money, what?
Spent the money on programming in 2023 instead of what it was earmarked for, which was 2024. So we're now,
I thought it was earmarked for the ACLU thing.
Yes, some was used for that too. It's just the
Right.
the actual number at the end of the year was over 35. The actual was, so I was trying to explain what, like the increase, because this actual says 34. But it was actually expended. I forget the number.
there
in
was
the-
a
Yeah,
money transferred into this account.
Yeah.
It was overexpended.
Okay, but I don't think that, I mean, this makes it sound like someone spent money in 2023 that was supposed to be spent in 2024, but I believe it was spent in 2023 for 2023. I mean, it was given in 2023 for the black,
I
for the,
thought it was $8,300 and it was split. Some of it was being spent in 23 and then the balance of it was.
all right, we'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's for,
Okay.
the portrait show also.
Anything else, Mr. Dooley?
No.
No, okay. Anyone else have questions on the line items? No? Okay. Do you have capital requests?
Oh,
No,
No.
she has the pool.
Yeah, I know.
Not
I was-
really.
Yeah.
So your favorite subject?
yes.
Our municipal pool. You want to kick it off? I'm just trying to find the right tab. There it is. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So the notes, were in the increase line items, which mostly are minimum wage increased is the note, for 102, which is the maintenance staff and patio staff. And then in the 106 line item is front desk staff. These are all hourly workers, so minimum wage has gone up across the board for everybody.
Mhm.
And then same for 107, which is the lifeguards line item.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last thing you said.
The lifeguards line item, 107 was also increased based on, minimum wage increasing.
Okay.
And then printing in 203 went up a little bit so we can print some calendars and rule signs that we hang around on the upper deck, and we try to have programming calendars in various locations. And furnishings in 218 has increased because we are planning on adding some awnings off of the snack bar front where we had the temporary tenting up last year to try to offer some shade when you're in the line for the snack bar. So that's going to be a retractable off of the front fascia of the building to cover that same size area.
And where is the, I know you mentioned it somewhere because I remember reviewing it the other day. Drives me nuts when you need to look at it again, you can't find it, right? But you remember seeing it. You have accommodated the request that we received from residents to add a family changing room. Yes?
Yes, that is in Paul's engineering.
Oh, that's not
Yes,
here. It's in engineering.
right.
We
It
love
is,
when
I
that-
think I put it in things we're looking forward to next year is
Okay,
a family
that's why I can't
changing
see it.
room. Yeah, it's next.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, the totals for salary have gone up $100,000 from the actual in 2023, 511 to 617. Are you saying all of that is because of the increase in the minimum wage?
Is that
It's up at the top.
103?
Line 13. Line 13.
Oh,
It was appropriated at 552, 511 was spent and 617 is requested.
Yeah.
yeah, those are all, that's all for the seasonal staff.
Yeah, I think it
controls.
was, when we had talked about it, it was the merit increases for folks who've been employed for a significant amount of time. The increase to get and keep them interested in coming back.
What do we pay the lifeguards per hour?
They will start next year, new hires at 16, but they range on their year in and if they're certain certifications. So we do have head guards making some of them 23 an hour. They've been with us for a while.
Mm-hmm. And how many lifeguards are we looking at for this season coming up, roughly?
Usually we get between 85 and 90 just because they come and go. You know, the college kids will leave early. Some high schoolers will get certified mid-season. And then hopefully we'll move up the ranks, some head guards. So every shift, we do have 2 head guards and 1 manager. So there's 3 rotating managers throughout also.
One part of that under salary and wages last year, we had staffed a 4-person mid-year, so there wasn't a full year impact. Well, we expect a full year impact this year. So that has some of the reason why
Right.
this year's spend will be higher than the actual.
Right, but the minimum wage did not go up 30%, correct?
It increases 80 cents a year.
Yes and no.
It's over $15 now. It's
Yeah.
15 and change.
Right.
This is the last step.
Right.
It's,
So we spent, we spent 293 and now we're spending 330, that's 10% increase in lifeguards.
Yeah.
Now, if you attribute that just to the rise in the minimum wage,
That's-
it doesn't make it. Same thing in the maintenance, we spent, just lost it.
Maintenance,
We spent in the maintenance
90.
90, and they want to spend 90 and 90, but we only spent like 125 last year.
125 plus 64.
Yeah,
No, that was
moving-
appropriate.
Doing those together.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I just
So-
think this needs to be looked at a little bit, particularly when we get to the tab with revenue.
Yeah.
It shows we got a $500,000 deficit already, that we got to take a look at the expenses.
Right.
Because all of our plans for reducing the fee are on top of the deficits. So if we wanted to put the 100,000 in, like we said, that would be a 600,000 coverage of a deficit.
In fairness, though, on the revenue, we did not plug in fund balance or surplus, which we used last year, and we did not plug in American Rescue Plan money either, because those are 2 policy decisions until we.
Do we have either of those? Do we
Do we
have,
have any?
do we have revenue, reserve revenue?
Balance, we would be using more than 50% of fund balance if we used the same 100,000 that we did last year. And we have $1.8 million worth of and money that we need to either encumber or spend by the end of this.
Yeah, but we probably have about 5 department heads who are going to come here and tell us how they're spending that $1.85 million.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
But-
so,
Mr.
Can I ask a question about staffing? I asked this at our committee meeting, but I didn't really know if I got an answer. If we're opening the pool later this year, wouldn't that also decrease staff salaries? Because we're not scheduling to open till mid-June this year.
I don't know how I would think you would still have to hire them early on before they get jobs somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, and maybe they can work on other things until the pool opens. I think the goal is to open it on time. Am I right? I see an engineer shaking his head.
It's a possibility where if we're able to open on time, we certainly want to have the budget to do so.
We certainly want to have the staff
You
too.
know, what we are able to commit to the public is opening that Father's Day weekend in June.
Yeah, and that was what you reported at.
Yeah,
the
right.
Advisory
The
committee.
budget shown includes what would be a full year of salary and wage for 2 reasons.
A
One,
full season.
We want to be able to open on time if the opportunity presents itself. And 2, we do expect to hire guards at the same time we normally would, out of fear that if we don't, they'll take jobs elsewhere.
And we won't have enough staff when
Um,
we do open.
yeah, use that human power to help us get the property up and get the locker rooms looking great and utilizing them. So they would still be on board as employees because they're used to returning at a certain time and making their summer, jobs here in Maplewood, and we want to keep them.
Okay. That okay? Or you have more questions? Okay. Ms. Craig?
Nope. We walked through this already once.
Oh, you walked
we're
through.
going over the revenue on this pool or not?
I don't think so.
We didn't plan to discuss revenue for any department today, but if you have specific questions, we certainly can
Look.
discuss it, yeah.
Well, I'm just, This is, I think, a particular situation because this is a different than the revenue and the general revenue. This is a utility, right? So right now, just on the numbers without any alteration, we're talking over $500,000 gap.
Right.
So Mr. Colosier says that, we might have some surplus. We used 100,000 last year, right? So we might be able to do something like that again, although it does cut it pretty tight. So that helps, but still a pretty significant gap even after that. And even if we did take a little bit from the other people who want to spend the 1.8 and put it in here, that's only a one-shot deal because it creates the problem again next year because we don't have that money. So somehow we've got to tighten this pool budget up. And I'll say it again, I don't think that we've ever audited the staffing, whether it's appropriate. I go there sometimes, I see a lot of people there. I think, we've asked the question, we've been told that sometimes we overstaff so that there's not a line to get in. Is that correct?
Well,
At the
to keep
door there?
moving through, yes.
Yeah. And, I think when people are being told that their taxes are going up, maybe waiting in a line for a couple minutes to get in, it would not be the worst thing. I have to wait in line to go to the movies. I have to wait in line to go to a sporting event. It just happens. So I don't want to over expend money in this pool because we're making a major policy shift of moving taxpayer dollars in here. And we've got to look not just at the revenue side, but the expense side. We don't do that very well on the pool.
I agree. And we also talked about looking at our technology to how to make check-in and check-out easier so that we can, and I liked seeing that your goal was to see how lowering the rates is going to affect operations, how to make them more swiftly, because I think that's what you were alluding to with that goal, to help with that staff too. And we talked about that in our committee meeting as well. So,
Yes, and then in the line of front desk, we're looking to scale back definitely on the weekends, so we were looking at the different attendance numbers and then staffing that we have on site. The guards is pretty much a static number. And going to the pool, we usually have guards in all the chairs and rovers. And the rovers, walk around and they had 4 saves last year. So I really do value the rover role. At one time I was kind of looking at it, is it necessary, is it not? And upon evaluation, they do make saves, the rovers. And so the desk and patio staff is, I think, where we can scale back, and especially during the weekdays, look at coverage. So we have employees they're typically on shifts, and then we have to look the hours of the youth employees. So they can only work a certain number of hours. So even if we onboard the same amount of people and they might not get the exact amount of hours because we're shifting out and reducing staff, we're very open to that and changing the operation a little bit, especially during the weekdays when it's quieter there.
And then Mr. Colosier, I have a question for you. So if we do reduce membership fees or fee, we're not calling it membership, we call it fees now.
we're called user fees.
User fees. If we reduce user fees, then our estimate for user fees, even though we have a record in 2023 of $850,000, wouldn't we budget less this year because we're reducing our user fees?
We were going to be fiscally responsible, yes, but the state would not require us.
No, right.
To
Right.
anticipate the full amount that we collected the year.
Right. Okay. We might want to adjust that because we might have more members, but I would caution us to not build a situation where we take this leap of saying we're going to, on this track of reducing fees and set us up for 2025 where we have a major shortfall in this.
I would agree with that assessment because one of the large drivers for the pool's deficit is the debt service. We had a $1.9 million bond to replace the filtration system, another $1 million bond to resurface the entire pool, and our debt service is going up about $175,000 from last year. So that is a big chunk of that $500,000 hole. And that's something that is beyond our control.
And that is in this pool budget, correct?
And the interest rates on those bonds are firm. They're not flexing, right? They're not going up with the inflation.
We pick up debt as a note, that's basically 1 year, and we're at the mercy of the market, but once we strike a bond, those become firm numbers.
So it's not going up because of interest rates, going up because of payments.
Perfect finance.
Yep.
And just a sort of a budget question. Do these bond payments and interest on the bond payments, do these have to be in the pool budget because it's a separate utility, or can it be put into the regular budget?
No, it goes into the separate pool utility because it is a utility.
So it shows up on these sheets as opposed to another department administration?
Well, debt statement last week, and the pool is self-liquidating.
Okay.
Gives us the ability to borrow 100% of any debt that we want to take on. But that's part of the reason why it's now paid for out of the utility. But there's nothing to stop the municipality from subsidizing it and sending money over to the utility.
Right.
Okay. Is there
That-
any? Go
That's
ahead.
one of the, Mr. Kaloje had said, one of the big drivers. And if you look on the expense side, under debt service, you'll see that last year our actual for debt service was 264,000. This year it'll be 439,000.
Can you tell me the line you're on?
Yep, the total, there's line 49 on the expense worksheet.
But even with that, we're still talking 500,000, so
Yeah, there's a lot of other.
there's a lot of other, lot of other.
Multi-year budgeting approach, we looked at one category down on emergency authorizations and deferred charges. We are in year 3 of paying off 5 years worth of that. So we will have another $124,540 payment in 25 and again in 26, but starting in 27, that will no longer be on the books.
Nice.
Don't worry, something else will be.
Yeah, something else will
know
take
it
its
will, but-
place.
Not think that.
It always does.
So does anybody else have more questions of this? But so I'm hearing the directive from the township committee is to focus in on the pool expenses and anticipated revenue, and especially the salaries and what can be done with staffing. So maybe an internal audit of the staffing, how it's figured out, and if there's a way to reduce it or, reduce the expense of it at any rate. That all? You can breathe and go eat now, Missy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, does anybody need a minute? No? Okay.
No, let's keep it
I
moving.
think the clerk has a form for us to sign.
Oh, yeah. I got a couple on my own, Mr. DeLuca.
You have a form for us?
Proof that you've seen the audit, which you're gonna
Yes.
take home.
Are you texting your next door
Trustee
neighbor?
Burke signing, with your penciled initials next to your name.
I'll start.
So you can do it, you can pass it to me.
Thank
Most certainly.
Mayor?
Okay,
Good.
I'd like to call up as the next witness,
Gentleman from the Department of Public Works and
Mr.
Engineering.
Kittner, and your DPW.
Try to tell the whole truth and nothing
Yeah.
but the truth. Truth.
So you want your DPW up first, engineering's next, so.
This one? The narrative.
We got these well in advance, I saw.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll go through 'em.
have a pencil. I hate pencils.
And
Thank you, sir.
You're the important guy here.
You wanna
No
write on-
pictures? Got no pictures?
No pictures? Denied. No.
He's an engineer, he doesn't look at pictures.
They do,
Just
actually. Those
numbers.
guys are,
Just
Numbers,
numbers.
right?
That's right.
It's numbers and roads.
all they do is make drawings all day. Engineers.
I could get.
Well, schematic.
Paul, did you
not
happen
pictures.
to get a look at
Schematic.
any of that rust color, like in the intersection thing, or?
I haven't
Yeah.
had a chance, Mary. yet,
Okay.
But I will.
Schematic.
Let me
How
get my,
about Schrager?
I
Did you
like
talk to him?
those.
let me get my cough drop ready. I'm a little under right now, but
And did you talk to Mr. Schrager?
it's on my list, I promise.
Now they're on to-do list?
There's a few of them on there, but I'll get to it all.
Okay. All right. Everybody ready for engineering and the grilling to begin?
I got it.
Engineering.
Dazzle us.
No, this is Public Works first.
Yeah.
Public
So,
Works, yeah.
Thank you.
you have DPW accomplishment and goals just handed out to us for speed reading purposes.
Public Works.
Well, is the accomplishments longer than the, yes, very good.
Okay, I like
Can
the
we,
bullet.
can we ask for maybe the top three of each?
Sure.
Yeah. Of the goals, you mean, or
Of both, the accomplishments and the goals.
Yeah, we can read this on our own.
We can
either
read
that,
after,
yeah, just,
otherwise we're gonna be losing time.
Mr. Kittner, if you could just give
Huge cap.
kind of an overview of your accomplishments for 2023.
Because the public needs to hear how hard you work.
Yeah, but also, you know,
And you're
Say
here
that.
in a
You
tie,
work hard.
so give him
We
some
we
time.
work hard.
you do work hard.
Give him some time, and he's here in a tie. Thank you, sir.
It's my pleasure. Mayor, committee, good evening. Paul Kittner, Township Engineer and Director of Public Works. I'm accompanied by my esteemed colleagues here, Mike Horan, Superintendent of DPW, and Dave Berry, Assistant Township Engineer. It's our pleasure to be here tonight.
This is like the bride and the groom here. You on the opposite sides of the aisle. What's going on?
All the way in the
Well, I
back.
may lose my voice, so I have a cough drop and I have them as backup. Looking at our accomplishments, first of all, I have a tremendous staff that work under me that are dedicated every day. And I mean this with all sincerity, that work very hard for this township, and they are truly overachievers, I think, in many respects. I couldn't be prouder of them, and it's a pleasure to manage them. I would say if I had to categorize the important items here, first of all, I would start by saying that we revamped the recycling this year. We went to dual stream. And that was a big change, not just for us. I think it was a big change for the whole township. And really, the whole township should get a hand in, you know, trying to make this work. It's not just one person and the effort. So
And thank you for working with me and others from South Orange and on that committee
it
to,
was my pleasure. I enjoyed it, and I'm just happy that it was successful. You know,
Same.
we managed to, I think, increase the quality of the recycle stream, reduce the cost by about a third. And, you know, I think it really made a significant difference in terms of our ability to get money back. We're now getting money back from mixed paper number 54.
Mhm.
That was a really good win for us. You know, we've made a number of changes in building improvements and grounds. I would say that this year, a lot of systems went down. HVAC systems, heating, cooling, electric systems. And my team worked really hard to try to get those back up in order, to try to keep people working in the buildings. When it's cold out, getting heat restarted. You know, when you lose electric, trying to get electric back on. So my team really worked very hard at trying to get them back on. Roof repairs, you know, working with engineering hand in hand on these things. So that's another accomplishment we're very proud of. You know, tree maintenance, I would say, this is the first year that we bid out trees as a public bid. It was kind of like a pilot for us. And I think it was successful. I think we planted, in total, with this 2023, we planted 350 trees. That includes park trees and street trees. And we used a company for some of that, and DPW did some of that in-house. You know, and I think it was a successful program. We're looking to implement that going forward and just carry on our success there. So if you had to ask me three projects that come to mind, those are three that certainly come to mind.
Really? I mean, I know you're appealing to the mayor in particular with those three, but I think our taxpayers need to know about the significant amount of traffic calming projects that we pursued in 2023. I wish you had how many of those we've done. That was a big, big deal to residents. The residents also need to know that their tax dollars filled over 2,000 potholes and swept over 2,000 miles of road, resulting in over 300 tons of road material picked up. This includes laying over 800 tons of asphalt. That's tax dollar money to use that matters to most taxpayers. Anything you want to add to that?
Well, I only was supposed to name three, but if that would be a fourth for sure.
Okay.
I would list that. And, you know, this year, in addition to laying down And this is kind of related to engineering as well, laying down over 6 miles of roadway. We also did overlays as well at DPW. So we put down almost 1,000 tons of asphalt with road overlays. Kendall, Van Ness Court, come to mind.
Right.
Alberta.
Improve curving too.
Yeah, exactly. So, we worked hard at that. I think that was also a successful program and we're proud of that. Thank you.
Yeah, and a lot of it was also covered in the State of the Township address too, so you're not being overlooked
Okay,
at all.
thank you.
We know very much we know from every monthly to 2 to 3 hour meeting we have, how much work there is.
Well, I think the interface between the committee and between our groups is very close. We
Yeah.
have our monthly meetings and we have individual meetings as well. So we're in constant contact and I think we feel the pulse of the township. We're out there every day. And I think that's important, if you're trying to deliver a good product. So,
Yeah, and I would ask Ms. Engel for the Communications Committee to think about how to get this information out to the public for those who are interested in reading it. I
We
mean,
hire a public information officer, but that will come in a little while.
It's on the budget.
That's a different.
It's on the list. Yay.
Just throwing it in there. So anyway, Mr. Kittner, department goals for 2024.
well, I think you listed a bunch of our accomplishments. We want to carry over a lot of those and move forward and keep going with that momentum. I think certainly streamlining recycling even more is important to us. Electrifying our vehicles. Right now, we have various cars and smaller trucks that are electric. We're actually looking into larger construction equipment that can be used as well. And I think Ms. Kripe and some others, sent us some information on that. We're going to look closely at that, ask for some demos.
Right.
So we're going to go through that process and try to implement that.
And I just want to commend you for that because I was just last night at another township, I won't mention, a meeting with their public works and transitioning to electric is nowhere on their radar.
Hmm.
And I think between all of us kind of putting that on as a priority over the last several years and you picking it up and doing it is much appreciated because if you weren't, we'd just be fighting. It's much nicer to have you understand the need and the future savings and the need for investment and where to attrition out of gas as much as possible.
It's a lot easier when the technology advances and it has. I think it's getting there. And if it's not there already, and I think it's a lot easier to transition it, when
Right,
it's-
but I
when it's
think it's
available.
important that it's always front of mind when looking at replacing, equipment.
Yeah, absolutely. So, part of that process is also electrifying our jitney buses. We did receive a grant that we applied for. It's over $900,000 for 3 electric jitney buses. We've actually submitted paperwork to DEP. It's in their court. We're waiting for them to come back to us, but, that's going to be an interesting, a progressive step forward in terms of electrifying our fleet. Increasing efforts to fill potholes, innovative ways to do that, becoming more efficient, working on our athletic fields, continuing to work hand in hand with engineering, to try to improve them as much as possible, whatever course of action the town ends up taking. Restriping crosswalks, center line striping for roads, stop bars, things that people, may overlook on a day-to-day basis, but it makes a big difference in terms of safety and your overall feel on the road. So, and of course, implementing streeteries, we're going to look into that as well. We have a mock-up right now for a platform for the streetery.
Right.
And, we're looking at different options for that to make it more aesthetically appealing for people. Okay.
Does anyone have a?
I actually, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, we've been talking a lot about the Greenway and I know we're trying to get approval. So would that be in this budget somewhere? I know it's not listed as a department goal or anything, so just curious.
Well, I could talk briefly about that, and Mr. Ware, if you want to just add to that. I know that there's several sketches right now with pathways and showing the Greenway, between Jefferson and West Parker. The latest sketch I've seen isn't, I would say, overly encompassing in terms of cost. So I think the developer, a particular developer is supposed to share a portion of that cost, and the township, that our portion would be fairly minimal. So I think that's something that we could fit into our budget. I don't specifically have a separate Greenway task or budget for that, though.
And that's something that we've discussed. His budget
Right.
is able to absorb what we expect the cost for that to be. And we, by design, kept the cost low so that we want to get this done, right? And at a lower cost, we have a greater chance of it getting complete. And so instead of things like poor in-place curbs, we have curb stops that would go between the cars and the walk. Instead of a full pour of like an asphalt walkway, we will improve the surface that's there to make sure that it is, at least in our portion in the parking lot, improve the surface that's there, make sure that it's suitable for walking and bike. We're not talking, mill and repave. We want to get this done. In future years, as we start to see the use of that area and understand the need maybe for additional investment, then I think, we have bigger goals and we come back with bigger asks. But it's certainly what we need to get this done is in this budget, and it is as low a cost as we can responsibly.
Great. Yeah, we did talk about keeping it low, so I just wanted to make sure it was in one of these line items, because as we talk about moving to electric, the other way to remove gas-powered vehicles from the roads is to promote walking and biking to schools, to get your kids to schools, to the train. And the Greenway is going to be able to help change user patterns and to keep those gas-powered vehicles off the roads. So thank you.
Yeah, increasing pedestrian connectivity is always an important thing that we look at, both in engineering and DPW. So,
So I have a sort of a global question. You're here representing both DPW and engineering.
yes,
And, we made that change 4 years ago or so?
2020.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah. So what, do you still think it's working? Do you still think the synergy between the two departments makes sense?
I do believe that there is very good synergy. Mr. Rand, what do you think of the combined departments, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I think the working environment down there is great. I have a great working relationship with Paul, and I think the two departments combined really, benefit each other.
All right.
Where it helps is not being redundant in cost. We're talking about cost savings, not being redundant in pothole filling when we're going to repave a street. The communication is key here because so much of our work overlaps. So communicating, not being redundant in the cost, that's where the savings is, and it's been good.
We
Do you have
going
a real question, another question?
Oh.
Not a real question.
I
I meant like a real specific question.
do have a real specific question on the your line items.
Okay.
So this is 291,204. It's line 36 in the our sheets here. This is the $100,000 for sidewalk repairs for the streetery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Could you describe what is that?
So the streeteries are, we've handled this since COVID, and it's a program where people can dine outside along Maplewood Ave, for example. They can actually dine in portions of the street that are really typically reserved for parking, right? So by putting up, certain structures, certain barricades, we allow the merchants to expand the offering to the residents, by allowing outdoor dining. And, I think the town is trying to accommodate the merchants and give our residents a different, feel and user experience by being able to dine outside. And
Right, but we have that now. So what's the difference between what we've done and what we're proposing here?
so this year, we're looking at three things. We're looking at the implementation of platforms that DPW would provide and build. So we have some mock-ups that we've circulated some pictures on. And we're also looking at a combination of suitable planters
Mhm.
and/or barricades that would be implemented strategically, that would be aesthetically pleasing, where you could have plants, for example, and you could have, outdoor dining, it's nicer, aesthetically more pleasing, and still have protection from vehicles. So,
So it's a lot of money, $100,000 in our operating
Very
budget.
much so.
So I guess Mr. Whereas and Mr. Kaloje, some of this is going to have a life expectancy of at least 5 years, right? So are we able to capitalize any of this?
There are proposed concrete barriers, and I expected the concrete barrier portions we could capitalize, given the overall cost. I would have to talk further with Mr. Closer, but I wouldn't think we could capitalize on the
Platforms,
platforms.
yeah.
Platforms that
Yeah,
we're
just
building.
there, one life expectancy.
Yeah.
Right.
Just-
No, yeah, that I can understand. But certainly any of the planters we're talking about, the ones we saw in the engineering public works, these are going to last for a while, I think, at least 5 years. So if we could capitalize any of this, I think it would be useful to do that. I like the idea of the platforms because of the accessibility factor.
Yeah.
People who have strollers or people who are, canes or wheelchairs, they're able to walk right off the curb onto into that eating space, which I think is a good thing, and eliminate that step down and step up.
It also makes it
wanna
a level.
Correct my
platform.
response, though. I had asked for this to be put in the operating budget because there is a need for this to be done in the spring. If we put it in the capital budget between first and second reading, 20-day estoppel, then purchasing them, we likely wouldn't receive them until maybe,
That's a good point.
And we can't use capital reserve for that?
we could consider fully funding. Even fully funding would require 2 readings and a.
Still in estoppel?
We would, I believe, fully funded still estoppel?
No.
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 All right, but still 2 readings, whereas if it's in the budget now, and as long as there's a general consensus, we have enough ability to buy this now for final approval of the.
How exact are the numbers, that estimate of 100,000?
I'm sorry?
How exact is the estimate of 100,000 and how many streeteries are we talking about? Because when we've met on this, it was, so let me start over. The platform part that we either did the mock-up of,
Yes.
you envision that costing how much for like a certain length section so that we could figure out, how many of those sections we would need and how much they would cost, and then the concrete.
The combination of the platform and the barriers, we were looking at a cost of around $13,000 per location for each outdoor dining area. So
Okay.
if there's,
But so conceivably there'd be, and we were also talking about charging a user fee sort of for this, but we have to also think about whether we're mandating it be used, right? And I think we should, because it'll uniform. The big complaint last year was it looked like the whole downtown was under construction for months. So yeah, if we can get more exact on that, there might be an opportunity to reduce that number, is my point.
Can I ask a question? What's your life expectancy of the platforms? Because I know that they tried that in South Orange and they didn't last very long. I think they had to be replaced every year. So I'm just curious about that. And also the expense. I mean, there's a lot of creative ways to make prettier barriers than we have. Lots of towns have done it for less cost. And I know the MVA has been talking about this a lot as well and had some suggestions previous years. So I'm just curious. $100,000 on streeteries from our budget to me seems like a lot of money. So I would question this whole,
That's
this
a,
is the first I'm hearing about it.
Yeah,
that's an argument that we've been having. There's a certain discussion about the level of heaviness or safety of the planter barricades which are more expensive than if we were to use other kinds. The platform's not the high cost, it's the barricades and how many of them we need per streetery. So that's been an internal back and forth discussion.
So the bigger cost is for the actual barricades
right.
than the
bec-
platform.
Right, because we have to strike a balance between beautification.
No, I get it. I mean, there's lots of ways that, This was
Yeah.
all 2020 to 2022 and SID life. So there's lots of stuff out there. So I hear what everyone's saying. I'm just cautioning against platforms and the life expectancy. So if it's a low cost, it's just something that might have to be replaced every year, every 2 years.
Yeah, or staining it like you would a deck or.
So, Committeewoman Engel, we're actually looking at the use of pressure treated lumber that we should extend the life. We're looking at probably anywhere from 3 to 5 years in that range is my guess. If I had to estimate, that's what I would say. The planters and the barricades, you're looking at probably 10 years or even more.
So I think if there's a way, I mean, been having this discussion many times.
Mhm.
And if there's a way to balance the need for certain types of planters that are heavier and more to your liking, but also where they're located. And we've already talked about it, so I'm not going to go into detail because it's long discussion usually, so. But
We don't want to over-engineer it. We want to make it efficient but it's got to achieve the goal of being aesthetic while also being safe. So
and also not trying to bring it down from 100. I think I don't know that we would have the support to support that amount of money on this particular thing, but.
Wait, you're saying not bringing it down or bringing
No,
it down?
by bringing it down, looking at bringing it down, yeah.
We would have support or not have support?
I'm confused too.
I'm sorry, I'm saying try to bring down the 100,000 and looking at the planters that might serve your purpose and other people's aesthetic purpose
Sure.
while bringing down the cost if possible from 100.
Well, that DPW is building the
Right.
platforms themselves, and
Right.
we will make every effort to reduce the cost. And whatever budget this committee decides on, we'll make it the very best we possibly can.
I mean, we've discussed this so much in different
know.
committees.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to get cheaper than 100,000 for
No,
what we
I'm-
want to do.
Doing all the labor. The cost is actually the labor. It's not really the parts.
No,
mean-
really, the cost is the concrete.
Some of it is, not
I
too
mean,
much. That's a lot.
we-
labor.
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
We had discussions about emulating what other towns have done. And the pushback was, well, some of those things that were done were not as safe as they could be for the public, right? So we have to balance the public safety against being more aesthetic. And I just don't think it's going to get cheaper than 100. I mean, you showed us some designs and stuff and it was $300,000 and $400,000, $250,000. I don't see how we're going to get cheaper than 100,000.
Right, well, that's what I'm asking you to look at, to see how to get it cheaper than 100, because I think there's ways with the number of the concrete planters that are used and then in between would be railings, that kind of thing we talked about might bring down some of that cost.
We're happy to look at it again, Mayor, and I'm sure we're going to have more discussions on this.
Yes,
Very
I'm sure
tough.
we will. Okay. Anybody else you don't?
Just, I noticed that there's a couple of increases for sewer maintenance, and I know in the capital, there's some things for sewer. So I want to go back to the separation of the storm sewer from the sanitary sewer, because the sanitary sewer, we have a user fee. We have a sewer fee.
Mhm.
And I think that we need to keep that up to date as far as real costs, because I know you have a significant capital cost for the sanitary sewer in Maplewood Village. And we should look at increasing the sewer fee to cover some of these sanitary sewer costs that can be identified. So you mentioned, like, for example, here you talk about in line 55, which is 295-202, repairs to equipment, increase for repairs to aging sewer equipment. So I don't know if that's sanitary or storm, but those are the kinds of things that I would hope you would look at to see, are there things that we can clearly identify that are sanitary sewer related that we can think about folding into an increase in the sewer user fee as opposed to the general tax fee?
I'm happy to work with administration on trying to identify those in our finance group.
Okay. Anyone else? Ms. Cripe?
You?
Ms. Engel? Any line item ones? Nope. Mr. Daffis? Nope. Okay.
Here's run it tight. I love it.
That's, yeah, DPW. Do we want to go to capital for DPW, or you want to skip to engineering and then go to capital for combined?
Probably makes sense to finish. Oh, engineer, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. So you're going to engineering?
Sure.
Okay.
Are we going through goals and accomplishments there? Mayor?
Yes. Well, you know, quickly, briefly, but thoroughly.
So,
Nitty gritty.
I think this committee already touched on a bunch of our top accomplishments. Over 6 miles of road paved, major traffic calming projects that we took on and accomplished. Building improvements that we've also performed, which range from roof replacements to HVAC upgrades, structural repairs made to buildings such as our town hall right here, installation of fire sprinkler systems at buildings like the Bergdorf, and completing the uninterrupted power supply at our police building. That's some of the larger projects we worked on. Working on our municipal pool in terms of replastering our various pools, 3 of the pools. Performing a townwide study for our sanitary sewer system, actually jetting and cleaning sections 1, 2, and 3 in our township, roughly half the township, and getting video of that and calculating capacities. Working with utility companies such as New Jersey American Water when they performed a major main upgrade along Baker Street. Implementing grant programs that we applied for, received, such as CDBG, DOT municipal aid. And also installing 5 different EV chargers throughout our township with dual ports. We also, by the way, talking about sustainability, we took 2nd place in a design competition for the rain garden on the 44th Street.
Right.
And received an award for that. And, we just continue to look at trying progressive approaches and implementing solutions in this township to deal with, a lot of challenges. So
Okay. Any questions on the accomplishments or by any of my colleagues? Okay. Goals to reduce your capital costs?
reduce capital costs. That's always at the top of the list when we can. Implementing the road program, okay, which is pretty robust this year. Continuing to integrate our departments. The DPW soil abatement project, we want to implement that. We just opened bids today and got preferred pricing. So we're excited to be able to hopefully award that and kick that off and get that going. Coordinate repairs to the Civic House, which are much needed. Okay, that's part of my funding request for engineering. Of course, working on major infrastructure projects, sanitary sewer projects throughout the township using ARP funding, which we have. We're interested in trying to maximize that for the township. That's a use it or lose it approach, and we want to use it.
I don't think we're gonna have a problem using it.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
How appropriate.
I'll be competing for it, though. We also want to take a different approach with the sanitary sewer and trying to reduce illicit connections, so that's going to be part of our focal as well. And last but not least, going after grant funding. We want to, free money or available money is preferred, reducing the burden on our taxpayers, and that's what we always try to accomplish.
Wow, you went through that really quick.
Backsides, you got it back on.
The backside, you know.
Yeah. Oh, it's,
Okay. Any questions on the goals for this year for engineering? None. So,
operating?
yep.
So engineering has a very straightforward operating budget. It's short. I do want to make one correction.
Okay. I hope it's for the better.
It is, Mr. Kolojek is going to like me now. 165, 209, new equipment. There was apparently an error in the digit. It's not 25,000, it's 2,500.
Oh, he already
yay.
made that in.
Oh,
our-
that's good.
So, that's in the right direction.
Yeah, that would have been an expensive computer.
Supercomputer. And I just want to note under professional services, last year we had that. It was helpful to have that for a particular drainage project. We wanted to make this a little more generic in terms of professional consulting services. And part of that I expect is going to go towards traffic calming projects right off the bat.
So is that, the actual of 28.1 was for last year? Was that, it's 40, is that what you're asking for now, right?
Yes, it was 40 last year too, but it was just
Oh.
for a drainage project. So this year we're maintaining it as 40. And I think we're just asking
Oh,
for,
40 was appropriated, only 28 was spent. That's what I'm asking.
we haven't charged all
billed
the
it all yet.
bills. Yeah, it's not complete, that work.
Okay. Okay. Colleagues, any questions on the line items for Mr. Kittner? Wow. We're saving it all for the capital.
I'm
Yeah.
sure. I'm expecting that. You want to go back to capital at DPW? Okay.
Hold on, I gotta find it on my. Oh,
Bull in the china shop. Can't take me anywhere.
here we go.
So we're going capital?
Yep,
Okay.
I'm just trying to find it.
I shared one
in this-
Excel sheet printed
Are we doing DPW
with
first?
all the capital items.
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah, I love that
I'm grateful
spreadsheet.
For that.
Well done.
Oh, I see it, okay.
Very easy. Thank you.
Cross things.
Thank
Right.
you. Thank you. Thank
We'll
you.
do that next year.
Cross everything off.
So 2401 vehicles and equipment. First of all, I want to thank this committee for over the past 3 years improving our fleet. Prior to that time, we had trucks that were 25 years old. They were considered classics. Okay.
Well, there's a market for those.
And we kept them on the street, and that's kudos to our automotive group for doing that, okay? Using bubble gum and
Rare.
duct tape, okay? But we managed to keep it running, but over the past 3
Municipal
years,
attorney's not here, but I think that's probably a joke, right?
mostly. I will say that our fleet is now in good form. I
Okay,
think the equipment is really much needed, and it was much needed, and it's so appreciated. You're giving us the tools that we need to do our job, so I just want to thank you.
so you don't need any more now.
Well, we still have to complete it.
Right.
He's saying
There's
keep
always
up
a
the
need.
good work.
Working.
Going through the list, the first thing off at the top is a street sweeper.
Mhm.
Okay, and they're expensive. The particular model we're looking at is, we're asking for $350,000. We sweep anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 miles of road in our township. And it picks up trash, picks up debris. It also is required by the state for us to do this, to keep our stormwater catch basins and inlets clean. And to keep our waterways cleaner. So we're asking for that.
Do we have one now?
Yeah.
We actually have 3, but the one that we're replacing is from 2008.
Oh,
And
wow.
they're really, typical lifespans on these vehicles are 8 years, 8 to 10 years, and 2008 is a older vehicle. We're asking for a small bucket truck. We use bucket trucks for putting up banners and signs and different things. and ours is getting older, so it requires more maintenance and it's not as safe. The sewer jetback truck, again, we've taken very good care of our jetback truck, but it's older. And, you know, when you're dealing with 40,000 PSI, it's a good idea to replace the equipment and keep it in good working order so no one gets hurt. I did have a leaf vac, a piece of equipment as a high priority. I think that could honestly be shifted if budget demands it to medium priority. We're also looking for a vehicle called Adventrac. It's a very useful piece of equipment. We use it all year long. We have one. We'd like two, and trust me, it'll pay for itself.
No, it won't.
Light tower. Okay, we have a lot of events here, and there's a lot of call for lighting. You know, a lot of these events are at night, so I think that would be used also. We're asking for another vehicle, preferably an SUV. We always shoot for electric or hybrid. If it's available, we'll certainly purchase that. But that's mainly for our custodial staff. Right now, the vehicles are well past their life. I listed one as high priority, one's a medium priority, and then the others are just medium priorities, lawnmowers, et cetera. Electronic messaging board, we have two of them. A third one wouldn't hurt for various projects. You know, but on the high side, we're looking at $1 million if you combine it all. High priority projects high priority projects, we're looking at $1 million, and total it's a little over $1 million, 1.08 million.
And if you had to, in that category of equipment requests, if you had to say that we could wait until next year for any of those items, which ones would those be?
Commander and Daffis, I would say the leaf vac, we could defer that. We could defer the light tower if we needed to. But I would say we probably need the other equipment listed.
What about the one SUV medium priority?
One SUV is medium priority. We actually need two vehicles, but we really need one because the vehicle that our staff is currently using is in really bad shape.
Right.
The one could be taken away.
Right.
Mhm. Thank you.
How did the leaf pickup go this past year with the battery blowers, rakes and brooms and trucks?
We certainly accomplished that. Mr. Haran, do you
Yeah,
want to?
you know, you can go up to that mic. That way you're heard. You just gotta turn it on. Oh, okay, or you can kick Mr. Cloutier out. Either way.
Leaf season went well. We were well equipped. We had, you know, multiple battery blowers and a lot of backup batteries.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually sell quad chargers, so you're able to charge multiple batteries at one time,
Great.
you know, leaving less downtime. So we managed better than expected.
You manage better what?
I think we did better than we expected to do.
Good,
So
good.
I think it was a
That's what I was hoping. Okay, so is that one of the reasons the leaf vacuum is probably not that important this year? If they're handling it,
Well, that's one of them, and it has limited use. It's
Right.
used, you know, during one time of the year primarily, and,
yeah,
you know, it's not as critical.
right. So and did you notice, or do you have any numbers on the amount of leaves that were taken this year?
I don't have firm numbers.
Yeah.
It's over 12,000 yards, but it's, you know, it's less, I believe, than last year.
Yeah, that's.
I
what
just
was
don't have
hoping.
firm numbers. We're still processing the final payments from when they collected it.
Okay, you only had to pick up once from my house. But okay, that's good to hear. And so, yeah, I would say no to the leaf vacuum for sure. 0.
I had no pickups for myself. I'm sorry.
Oh, you had 0. I thought you said 0, no trucks. You said no pickups. Oh, got it. Okay, never mind. Okay, any questions on these? Anybody? So your number 1 is,
The leaf vac.
no, the
Oh,
leaf
the
vac
big
is gone.
units.
Yeah. The leaf vac's out.
Yeah.
Sewer jet truck is something I think you really wanted, right?
Absolutely. I think 1 through 3 is certainly the highest priority. The Ventrac is also very high because it's just so useful. It really gets its use. It's got multiple attachments. It works all year long. It salts our walkways, it plows snow. It has various attachments. It cuts grass, aerates our fields.
You're talking about the street sweeper?
No, the Ventrac. the
I was
Ventrac.
gonna say that.
No, the Ventrac, I'm sorry.
Okay.
All these attachments.
So
Alright.
that's a fantastic machine.
Okay. Anybody have any thoughts or capital request?
No.
We only got one definitely out of there. That's not good.
I got it.
You got more? Okay.
Maybe we could just explain what your role is gonna be with these requests and coming back to us.
Sure.
The
So
recommendations.
we're first starting with a goal in mind. And the CFO and I have discussed this at length in terms of what is a responsible amount to bond for this year. Our goal, at least to present to you, is $6.5 million. We have been a little over that in the last 2 years. I think we've been about $8 million the last 2 years. We're starting to see the increased cost of debt service from that. And if we add on to that, usually we go out to permanent financing every 3 years. If in 3 years, we permanently finance another $24,000 in improvements, we will really see another large spike in debt service annually. And so we think responsibly $6.5 million is our goal. So after the presentations, we'll take some feedback from the township committee. We know, I have some ideas on what we can cut, and I'll present back to you $6.5 million. And if you want to go over that, a priority in order of anything additional, at least in my mind, that I think you can. Is that a fair, does that meet your expectations?
It's very helpful for us to know.
Yeah, so that when we're not gonna.
We've been rudderless for the last couple of years, but
Yes.
No, I will give you $6.5 million worth of capital projects that I think are a priority, and then everything else after ranked.
Okay.
so we should continue to express our interest in some of these. You'll come back to us with what.
Yeah, but I want to hear your interest is, or I'm sorry, my recommendation will be based off of your interest, my boss's.
I hear you.
And,
I hear you.
but also, I have some
hear
institutional
you.
knowledge and where I think we may.
Very smart move.
Thank you.
And he's not even a politician.
Very smart. My interest is your interest.
Okay. All right, you had buildings and grounds on here as a capital request?
Thank you, Mayor. Buildings and grounds, we broke it up into high priority versus medium priority. Starting off with our fire department, this is our fire department number 2 on Boyden Avenue. The building's furnace needs to be replaced, and, we've made I think I don't want to say policy, I want to say we're trying to go with green alternatives
Right.
for our buildings.
Heat
And
Mhm.
rather than use a furnace, even if it's a high efficiency furnace that produces combustion and hydrocarbons, et cetera, we're really looking at options such as heat pumps. And it's a little more costly, but over time it uses less energy, it's more efficient and certainly more green.
Mhm.
So for the fire department, we're asking for, I have down 400,000. We probably could get it cheaper, maybe 350 if we shop around. But that's a number that we're trying to secure, and the work needs to be done for that building.
It says electrical and roof as well.
There is
that-
also an electric upgrade that's happening at that building, and there's also some roof repairs that we're looking at as well. So combined, that's why I have 400, but combined, we could probably do this for 350 if we tightened up things. I think we could probably do 350.
What's your next?
Next item is DeHart air conditioning. There's an upgrade that's required right now. It's malfunctioning. That's a $40,000 improvement.
Okay.
106 Burnett Senior Center, we have condenser coils and roof, again, the HVAC system, and doing the second half of the roof, which was never completed. We're looking at $60,000. We're also looking to improve the mini split systems in our police building. This is for the UPS system, which we recently upgraded, as well as dispatch rooms. Obviously, those two uses are super critical and important. And we're also looking for our town hall IT room, the mini split air conditioning upgrade as well at 17.5. We have some other medium priority projects. You know, if funding does not permit, you know, we could get by if these were not funded. On the high side, we're looking at $1 million and $1,072,000. But in the low side, high priority projects, we're looking at 552,000.
Any questions from anybody or thoughts, comments?
What is a heat pump?
Oh. It's a alternative to furnaces and things, but it's a whole system. I'll let you explain because I'm stupid about these things.
In simplistic terms, it's just a more efficient way of, you know, heating the building using electric power as opposed to burning combustion fuels. So
And it's more efficient, but it's also more expensive at the beginning, but then it saves money in the long run
less operating cost and much, much cleaner.
and greener.
So as between 02.01 and 02.06, which one is a priority?
It was the first
Mhm.
5.
Wouldn't be done.
The fire department,
Yes,
Yeah.
I would say the fire department, the D-Hart air conditioning is important. The PD mini splits are certainly important.
And then IT.
IT is important as well. Those 4 projects, I think, are pretty critical.
And that's 552,000 you just was saying.
right, I do think, I would submit that the Memorial Park Amphitheater electrical box replacement is a priority as well, because we have so many events there. Right?
We do have a lot of events that use it. We have received some complaints about that through various users. It is an older box and it's corroded inside, so
Yeah,
What inside?
it's corroded inside when you open it, so.
I would make that a priority. But, you know, as between the two locations, the two firehouses, if you think that the second one on this list here could wait until next year, is that your assessment?
That's the assessment. We spoke internally and we think that the smaller firehouse on board and that actually that is in worse shape.
Mm.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So there you go. We saved 500 there.
Yeah.
Not save, but you know, we have to prioritize.
We're not spending it.
Yeah.
For engineering?
Okay.
Always.
We have our seatbelts on.
Yeah, this is the list.
Okay.
Used to do it
Mayor,
earlier.
we'll start with 2401, my first request, which
Oh,
is,
this must
you know,
be
the road
right.
program.
Right.
And every year it's,
Every year you ask for around 2 million and every year you get about 1.1.
that's the process. We're at 1.9 million with what we consider our higher priority roads. I just want to make it clear, whatever the committee decides on in terms of a budget, whatever's available, we're happy to work with it and we'll make it the very best we can.
Did you submit a road list? Is this it?
And this is it too. If you want
Yeah,
to see
it's
the
on the
map.
map.
This is it. Got it.
Yeah, the map is great.
We wanted, and I got to thank Mr. Barry here. He
Let's
put
go
that
with maps.
together. He did an excellent job. And what we wanted to show was really, you know, we wanted to show the public the equity in terms of considering our roads, because I know there were
Thank
comments in the past.
Thank you. Yeah.
And this graphically shows the distribution of roads. These are the higher priority roads
5 on each side of town.
are considered, yes.
Did you prioritize these? Is this the order? No, that's 2023.
No,
Never-
that's the, we have the priority here, Mayor, and I
Oh,
could go through it quickly if you want.
Yeah, because I'd like to know which ones are what you think are in the worst shape.
Okay. Concord Avenue,
You only have one.
We got it on here.
It's
By
in
the
there.
time, just go through it for the public too, because by the time I
Okay.
find the right spreadsheet. you can read
Correct.
it by-
Me too.
Concord Ave between Lexington and the town border. It's a flat road with drainage improvements that are needed. It's in bad shape.
Which one? I'm sorry.
Concord Ave.
Okay.
Border between Schaefer and the town border, another road that's in bad shape and in need of work. Oakview,
Wait, hang on.
Order's not even on here.
Quarter's not on here.
Porter's not on here, bro.
I don't think you did quarter.
I don't know if we have that one.
Porter's on your list in your narrative, in your,
Quarter we did last year.
No, Porter.
order.
Quarter.
I know the
Well,
echo
okay.
in here is not good.
Yeah, it's not.
let's use the graphic because if there is a difference, I want to use the graphic here. So.
Dave, we thanked you too soon.
I Messed up.
We'll start with Maplewood Ave.
Okay, Maplewood.
Maplewood Ave between Walton and Jefferson. There was a traffic calming request there.
Yep.
We also have a design that we developed, which would improve circulation and safety at the intersection by realigning things. And, the road's in very bad shape. So that road is for consideration. Beach Place from Academy Street to Prospect Street. That's the limit. And that's also not in great shape. Coolidge Road from Irvington Ave to Parker Ave. That's for consideration. Garfield Place from Coolidge Road to Boyden Ave.
Yes, please. We hear about Garfield Place every year. Yes, please.
Alberta Road from Boyden Ave to Warren Road. Oakview Ave from Oakland Road to Ivy Terrace. Harding Place from Boyden Ave to Jacoby. Concord Ave from Lexington to the town border. Inwood Place from Maplewood Ave to Woodland. This is also medium priority, or this is just high priority?
No, Inwood is medium.
Okay, that's the high priority. So that's, and then, I'm sorry, Washington Park, the full length, I'm told that road hasn't been done in forever.
Right. And we hear from those residents every year as well.
Yeah.
And what about Porter? Porter between what and what?
It's on,
Schaefer and the town border.
You didn't tell me it's on the spreadsheet.
It's on, it's on there.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was even up there. Sorry.
We also have medium priority roads, Harding Ave between Boyden and Jacoby. This is above the 1.9 million that we're proposing. Burnett Terrace and Ivy, that requires extensive drainage, and also Inwood Road. That's obviously in our downtown and in the heart of our township, but that's in poor shape. And we actually contemplated a restriping plan for that as well. So, but to improve parking.
So Inwood is listed on the map. Right?
mhm.
Inwood Place from Maplewood Avenue to Woodland.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get a sense of how many roads are on there?
On
1,
on
2,
a high priority
3,
is
4, 5.
9.
9 roads.
Okay. Total of 12. And this map represents your top priority or what?
10, 11, this is 11.
And that's because Porter's.
That's because Porter's,
Oh, okay. This is everything too. Missing
everything
Porter.
except Porter.
Burnett and Ivy are not on this.
Yeah,
So it was a good try.
good try.
Well, tell us what you intended, please.
Not ready for prime time on this one.
Well, tell us what you intended, please.
The intention in this graphic was to relay the distribution
Yes.
of roads across the
That's
township.
not on here.
Because we've heard that from residents, there's been an unfair distribution of attention in this matter. This is our attempt to illustrate that.
Equity.
Yeah.
Your attempt to illustrate equity.
But let's get rid of this map because
It
summer number 7, which is a high priority, is not on this map.
either. Okay.
So let's get rid of the map because we don't want this to get out. Because what I think your goal is correct, but this is not doing
Not
it.
ready to go.
Yeah, the intention was to show
Right.
equity.
But-
And
And honestly, it'd be nice to see what the past years were on a map. Because I don't think there's ever been intention for
we can pull that
inequity.
together.
It's always traffic volume, condition of the road, drainage, things like that go into it. So, but it'd be nice to see how widespread. I mean, that's a back burner thing, not You've got plenty to do before then.
Mayor, we're happy to put that together.
Yeah, just so I can see.
Sure.
There's perception and
Okay, moving on, if there's no questions. 2402 environmental abatement. So I'm happy to say that I'm recommending deferring this to 2025 based on our bid opening today. There's basically two parts of DPW that need abatement. And, you know, the first part, the large part, is hopefully going to get awarded based on our results today. The second part is the lower section, and that I think could be deferred to 2025. So that's my recommendation.
okay.
2403, building improvements. This is always a tough one to get through.
Yes.
We start off with miscellaneous building improvements, 150,000. This account,
Catch all.
this is a catch-all, and it's used in almost every year.
Mm-hmm.
The Hilton roof, we listed this as phase 2 for the slate roof improvement, but the fact is we awarded phase 1 this year. And that includes the parapet wall and the flat roofs. We were told by several roofing contractors that the slate is in good shape and we should be able to get a few years out of it. So we're recommending we defer that cost
Good.
until next year.
Well, let's just make sure that we are prepared to bring the slate guy back if we have problems, because
Absolutely.
we had problems this year. And this whole roof has been a fiasco because we put money in, we took it out to do this building here, and we have severe leaks over there. So if we're going to push it off, let's just make sure that we're repairing the slate.
Understood.
Library can stay open while that work's being done, yes? or
Yes,
no?
yes.
Okay.
The third item, Civic House, we mentioned before, we're looking for funding to actually launch that project. We have fully approved plans from HPC and SHPO, and we'd like to make those improvements. They're much needed. 60 Woodland, the doors. Now, we put a price in at 35,000 a piece. There's 8 doors we're asking for. That's $280,000.
Yikes. Where are we with that project?
So,
February 6th, the bids are coming in.
February 6th, the bids are coming in. We rebid the project. The first time we bid this out, we did.
I remember that. So we rebid and we reached out to people
Yes, we
and then-
did.
to bid.
You've issued, released the bid package to approximately a half dozen contractors to date.
And these were contractors that work on historic projects?
They're qualified to work on the project. And we got that list from HPC, from their list, so.
Okay.
But I just caution to not be too optimistic because
Mhm.
we did some work to shop it around last time as well, but this is very intricate work that not a lot of people are qualified to do. And they're taking apart individual doors and replacing individual pieces. There hasn't been much interest from contractors. So we're hopeful, and I think it'll inform any future decision that we make. I just don't want the township to be too optimistic.
And it's 35,000 per door, what we were looking at before too with the first bid?
No, the first bid received.
Came back
was
around
how much on the first order?
There's 50,000, but that included an allowance,
Yeah.
the first door. So, and 50,000 for each door thereafter. So
You're such a party pooper, we can't be optimistic.
No,
Boy, oh boy.
manage your expectations.
Oh, man.
Right, because of historic.
They're historic doors.
Restoration.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, it's a little bit ridiculous. Yeah,
It's a
craftsmanship.
I think $50,000 a door. Honey.
Yeah, I know.
yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah, if you only have a few vendors. that can do it.
we do have, if this does not work out, we do have an alternative plan to reduce the cost. So we could entertain that if we don't get preferred.
what's the alternative plan?
Not ready for prime time though, right? We're still talking
Yeah, I don't know if it's ready for. but
Okay.
it's-
I'll listen at the next Engineering Public Works Committee then.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you. Moving on, 60 Woodland siding replacement, we have an allowance of $250,000. That's based on the recommendation from USA Architects, our architect, and that's essentially stripping the
aluminum.
aluminum clad siding from the building, which is dented in many areas. It's perforated in many areas. And you'd be stripping that and and at least restoring and replacing where necessary damaged siding at the
Yeah, I
building.
think that's kind of high, but
With
might,
what?
might come in with just restoring the cedar shingles,
Cedar,
basically.
You're,
Is that the whole building? Or is
No,
it-
just the back part by the door.
that's just the rear portion. You are correct. It probably is high, Mayor, but you know,
Yeah.
in terms of budgeting and planning, we always hope for the best, but assume the worst.
Yeah, I think
We're
that's. high.
optimistic.
Yes, very optimistic.
More so than the doors.
Fair.
Moving on, we're looking at some money, 150,000 for waterproofing and repairing the Bergdorf building. They have some water infiltration problems there that have to get resolved.
See, this drives me in particular crazy, right? We're going to spend all this money on the Woodland, which is great. We should spend money on the Woodland. It's one of our awesome facilities. I'm not fighting that. But then you go at the Bergdorf, and the Bergdorf gets an alarm panel replacement and some basement renovations to alleviate flooding. Nothing about lighting, nothing about stage, nothing about new seats, nothing about the roof, nothing about making the Bergdorf function in the manner that we want it to function.
Committeeman Davis, I could comment on a few of those things. The stage itself, we've talked with Recreation, and there's a plan to actually have the stage replaced. If the stage remains, you know, DPW in 2023 made significant structural repairs to it. And if it remains in place, we would have to sprinkler it. So we're working hand in hand with Recreation on that. And, you know, my expectation is it will be upgraded at some point.
Yeah,
In terms of the roof, the leaking that's occurring in the bathroom, we believe is associated with other things that possibly are not related directly to the roof. So we're trying to get that resolved. There have been numerous roof repairs in the past through various contractors and chimney repairs as well, masonry repairs to that building. So, you know, and the lighting itself, DPW did install some upgrades in terms of the lighting near the handicap ramp. If additional lighting is required, we can accommodate that through building improvements. So that would be part of that 150,000 building improvements account. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay, moving on. The alarm panel, I think you mentioned this, Mr. Daffis, you know, we've had a lot of issues with the alarm panel there going off during events. And we want to bring in a non-proprietary panel that any company can work on, which would be more reliable. So we're going to start there, and there's other buildings that we're going to probably implement this in as well.
75K for that.
Again, we're including enough. I anticipate it's going to be less than that, but I want to ensure that we can get the project done. And that includes also any engineering.
Would be devices as well. Or just
It could be devices as well. It could be, you know, CO monitors, smoke monitors. You know, sometimes when you replace the panel, you also have to replace the other fixtures. So we're planning for the worst case scenario. We're also including the greenhouse heat pump that needs a furnace. Right now, it's an oil-fed furnace, very inefficient, very dirty. So we're calling for a heat pump here. It's a greenhouse, and we're looking for a sustainable approach there. So we're asking for approximately $240,000 for that.
Like originally you were talking about a gas line to the greenhouse.
There was talk at one point, if we were gonna use a high efficiency boiler to run an updated gas line from Town Hall, across the parking lot, up through the greenhouse. But with the use of the heat pump requiring just electric, we wouldn't have to upgrade that gas main. So that's a savings right there.
We getting any contribution from the Garden Club on this?
You know,
Check that. I think they had raised some money for this, so
yeah,
let's just check with it.
I will. Thank you. Last but not least, I think Ms. Mancuso mentioned this earlier, the pool building, there's a family changing room that is being planned this year, as well as painting the exterior of the building and, you know, replacing some fascia boards that are rotten and gutter upgrades, that type of thing. giving the building a little
Is it a
facelift.
stupid question to ask what is a family changing room?
It's a gender neutral room where people can change,
Thank you.
A little more intimate.
Okay.
yeah. Which is something that people have asked for.
So factoring in all these costs, it's a 1.685 million as it's stated.
But you stopped.
Yeah, that's his building improvements only.
That's just building
That's
improvements.
just building.
Now he gets into the real,
Yeah.
the real money, roads and drainage.
Yes. I thought maybe you just forgot to delete that whole bottom.
No.
Four part.
Wishful thinking.
I try.
Okay, if we have no questions there, we will move on. 2404. So this is a drainage project we've been involved in for quite some time, Maple Terrace drainage.
Yeah,
Um,
Maple Ave there.
Yeah,
Maple Terrace, not Maple Ave.
yes.
Maple Terrace, yes.
That's my mistake. I'm sorry.
Oh. So where the project's at now is it's with DEP and our consulting engineer working with my group, our group, recommended detention of water within the street itself to increase the capacity of the system. We have a serious flooding condition out there that's existed for many years.
Hmm.
And, this project, we've learned a lot going to DEP back and forth and working out things. But to make this work, we think that this detention is warranted and we agree with the consulting engineer on this.
Mhm.
You know,
Detention would be where? And,
it'd be in the street
but I
underground,
mean, like on Maple Terrace or?
along Maple Terrace, yes. We'd have big pipes in the ground that would hold some of that water. It's very dense, the neighborhood. There's a lot of, houses there and there's not a lot of places to put this. So we would be placing this in the street. But unfortunately, we know that there was a tragedy there during Ida.
Mm.
And to respond to this, we're looking for some additional funding. There's also a mitigation component with wetlands that we would have to deal with. So that in total, we're asking for an additional $380,000 for this drainage improvement.
There's already money budgeted for Maple Terrace improvements, right?
There is money and I detailed that in my form here, I listed
Oh.
the accounts.
Good luck finding that. What's the additional?
Is it-
The whole thing is about $800,000.
Yes.
About 900,000.
About 900,000.
900,000.
Almost $1 million.
That includes the drainage in the road,
Yes,
extra capacity.
correct. Thank you.
It's expensive project.
Moving on, 2305 utility repairs. So obviously, we're in the process of looking at sanitary and stormwater infrastructure.
I'm
And
sorry, I just want to interrupt for a question that's on my head about the Maple Terrace thing. For the retention, will that also improve anything downhill from Maple Terrace?
absolutely. So locally, there would be improvements because there's more storage volume, and downstream, there would also be improvements because the water's getting metered out slower
Right.
as a result of the storage volume.
Will that?
Not going to
affect-
solve every problem,
Right.
but it will
How-
improve the
how far does that,
situation.
Like help? Does it help all the way down to like Baker Street and
It-
that far down, or just more like?
No, it's, the terminus is on, in
slow
Milburn.
It goes on like to
Yeah.
Ridgewood and,
Right, because it gets diverted on Ridgewood into Milburn, right?
It goes into Milburn.
Yeah,
Downtown, the downstream
Oh.
Milburn gets the benefit. We don't get the benefit.
Yeah, that's what I
Right.
was gonna ask.
We getting
Are we
money from
getting any
Milburn?
information? That was my question. Have we hit Milburn for any money?
This pipe discharges, the ultimate discharge point is Glen Ave in Milburn.
oh, all right.
Yeah.
I was picturing it the
No.
complete reverse. All
Mm.
right, my bad.
yeah, it makes a right.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, 2305 utility repairs. Again, we're dealing with sanitary sewer and storm. We're asking for $150,000. This would be various locations. Last year, we had an issue on Tiffany Place with a particular pipe that we discovered. And, I think this money would be put to good use if we could get it. 2406 Springfield Avenue, Phase 2. This is a DOT grant that we applied for and received. We received a total of $398,000 of funding from DOT. The project, this is phase two. So this is, Rutgers to Milburn Avenue. The project itself is $1 million project, but if anyone driving Springfield Avenue realizes that it's getting old and it needs upgrading.
It does.
And what did we get for the phase one from the state?
That's right.
About the same amount?
We got more actually for phase one. I don't hold me to this. I want to say it was around $450,000, give or take.
So out of the 2 million project,
800.
we're gonna get close to 750,
More than that.
800.
Yeah, it's gonna be like around 875, I believe.
This is almost 4 and we got 4.
And this is a reimbursement thing, right?
This is a reimbursement, so we have to front the money and the state will pay us back. Once the project's awarded, they'll give us a voucher for 75% of the grant amount. It's a good program and
Yeah.
it allows us to do a lot of roads. 2407 CDBG, we've done this before. These are just ramp upgrades. We're continuing this, various locations in the township. We're asking for 225,000. CDBG normally gives us anywhere from 190 to 200 in that range.
Are we going to spend more than CDBG gives us?
We always put in a little more and spend a little more because A, we want to maximize the grant funding, and B, it's better for us in future funding if we utilize the full grant amount. So we always ensure that we use all of it that we can. 2408 traffic calming various locations. So last year, I want to say I put in 200 or 200, I think $200,000 is what I was received. I'm looking for a little more. We have many different traffic calming projects and big ones that are coming up. So we're going to need some extra money for this and funding. We talked about Irvington Ave, we talked about Parker in the past. So these are all projects that we want to look to fund and
Yeah,
need
that
this.
treatment to the intersections I sent you, I was envisioning Parker as that being a good way to alert people that there's an intersection coming up in front of them because it works really well. I'd urge you to take a drive on Park in Summit.
Okay.
Off Springfield Avenue and dumps back out onto Broad Street.
I was curious, I think in your email you said that the pavement changes though. I was curious for bikers if that would be how the.
No, it doesn't really change. It's just it's just a little bumpy. It's not like a strip, the rumble strips. It's not that. It's really just like an overlay on top of the existing asphalt in the middle. It's that just makes the intersection more visible. And then the crosswalks are on the outer side.
Well, when I call Aaron, I'll talk to him about this.
I know, I told you to call him.
Okay. Moving on, 2409, we're looking to finalize the EV charger project here at Town Hall. That includes a series of level 1 chargers for our fleet vehicles. It also includes 5 level 2 chargers for future vehicles, also for, the residents to use. So we're looking for a little additional funding. We've actually advertised this project twice in the past and we're unable to fund it based on funding. So we're just asking for a little more. With that, I'm confident we could get this awarded. 2410 in-house engineering services. This is, typical every year we ask for this. It's an allowance for us to charge capital projects for in-house engineering costs. 2411 DeHart Field reconstruction. We're looking for an additional $50,000. That's on top of the $102,000 I have in an account already, which I've listed here. That would be
How much that you already have?
102.
102,000.
That's what I thought he said, but I thought it was weird that it'd be.
And what we're looking for, I didn't.
The
catch that.
echo in here.
What we're looking for is money to get a consultant, all right, to move forward with possibilities for us to upgrade this field. We've done soil testing and I'm not gonna, I don't think this is the forum to get it too much into the detail, but the field has some concerns and issues.
We're going for a state grant for this, right?
Yeah, $100,000, I think.
Yes,
For the design?
yes.
So then the 50 is on top of the 100 or design only?
The 50,000 would be on top of what we have in the capital account already which is 100,000 left.
So if we got the 100,000 from the state, it would just substitute for this.
We wouldn't
and
need the
this-
50.
You could keep this for future work.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Section, request 2412 sanitary sewer improvements, various locations. You know, we're looking to work on sections 4, 5, and 6 and get that designed. So far, we have 1, 2, and 3 done. We want to finish the town. And
So this is just the televising?
this is the design fees and the work that's needed to get this on the street for sections 4, 5, and 6. There's survey work that's needed. There's GIS work that's needed. So this is to get that package on the street awarded. The actual work itself may be upwards of 500,000 to 600,000 to televise the rest of the township based on the original funding, the pricing that we got. Moving on, 2413, the police building, we talked briefly about this, the heat pump, we're looking to, install this. Total cost we're looking at is $650,000. We have 298 right now in capital accounts, so I'd be requesting 352,000.
What's the submit the grant to Sustainable Jersey? How much of a grant?
500.
500,000?
We are applying for a grant which yields up to 500,000 through Sustainable New Jersey. So if we can get that money, that would be fantastic.
And they'll only fund it if it's a heat pump and not the high efficiency boiler that we met about.
They're looking for green projects and not just green projects. They want to see projects that are already designed that are, people have committed to. Municipalities have committed to, and we have that. We actually have this underway right now in
So
design.
that would be one that we'd have to pay for and then get reimbursed with the grant?
It's a reimbursement grant, yes. Moving on, 2414, environmental improvements, various locations. We always put this in every year. It's for asbestos or unknown environmental hazards that we may encounter. 2415, Safe Routes to Schools. We did win a Safe Routes to Schools grant. I want to note that Ms. De Palma was tremendous and essentially wrote this and got this funding. But we're looking to implement this. There's a long process. The state will actually pay for the design fees, all right, through the grant program. But the process is long. It takes a while. So it probably won't get constructed until late 2025, maybe 2026. But the funding of the design fees, that's actually paid for by the state. So I'm deferring. I think we have enough now to get us to next year. I'm proposing to defer this. 2416 sanitary sewers. This is specifically the siphon at Maplewood Ave. This is where the Crooked Brook is. We've had reports of algae blooms in the Crooked Brook. And, we're thinking it could be from this siphon. So we're looking to actually get this on the street this year, get this repaired. There's a number of ways to do this. And we're looking for just some design fees as an initial startup for this repair.
Where would the money come to repair it if these are just the design fees?
We were considering using ARP funding
Oh.
this would be a good project for that. We're expecting, depending on what it is, it could be up to maybe
So
$500,000.
the 50,000 could come from the sewer fee, the user fee.
Swearing, yeah.
It's underlined twice on my sheet. As is 24-12 sanitary sewer improvements.
So 2416
My
is not,
interest is your interest.
is not included in 2412. It's separate from sanitary sewer
It's
improvements.
separate, yeah. 2412 is more of a, like a catch-all for multiple areas, whereas
Correct.
2416 is specific to that Maplewood Ave.
Yeah, that's well said.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Moving on, 2417, air conditioning for this very room that we're in. It's a large volume. It's historic and it would be expensive to install. but we are.
This would be a low priority for me.
Yeah, low priority,
I think it really just cut.
and you're never gonna get it past historic preservation.
Yeah.
I mean, if we have 500,000, I would rather
It'll
Five
take
hundred.
air
years.
condition the woodland
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Yes,
We're
Yeah.
hardly ever in here.
agree.
Well, we tried to do air conditioning of the woodland. Again, we were opposed.
Well,
No,
you know, it was too much.
Cost.
it was too
Yeah,
much
but it's
it's
money.
expensive.
to do it.
Do it the historic way, even though air conditioning is not historic. Anyway, move on.
Yeah, but the building is, let's,
Moving on, 24.
Interior, not exterior. Yeah, go ahead.
no, the air conditioning HVAC equipment would be exterior, so,
Okay, that's one way to look at it.
well, it is.
The
2418?
I'm sorry, 2418, this is the Maple Crest Park Playground. This is an inclusive playground that we're applying for grant funding for right now. I know Dave and Mr. Weary are spearheading this, and Ms. Mancuso.
Right, so doesn't there need to be money in that line, or is it missing in mine?
It has a potential to be a large grant award from the state.
Right, it should
Right
be
now, they're
750.
thinking they'll make awards between $500,000 and $750,000. So that plus.
Plus-
We've already have through open space for improvements that may.
Oh, okay, right.
I think we could do. the
We might be able to do it without,
grant plus the money.
Mm-hmm.
yep. Okay.
2419. Dredging the east branch of the Royal that's limited dredging. And this is something that we've talked to the residents about. I know, Mr. DeLuca, you're aware of this too. And this is money basically to do that work.
Did we decide that that would help?
So
Because I feel
Our-
like we didn't.
our consulting engineer downloaded the data from FEMA and ran their models, and they concluded that dredging this area is actually more effective than removing the dam. So this is going to help a number of houses on Denell Road who currently experience flooding. It would help them.
So,
Is it gonna help during an Ida?
no.
No.
And then there are also wall repairs that are needed in there.
There are, and we have a plan to meet with each of the residents and go over options. And I think there's gonna be an open discussion on, how to address this and how to move forward with that as well.
Okay, we'll talk more at engineering.
Sure. I look forward to that. Okay, that's the end of the capital. I do have a OSTF and I have some personnel requests. I don't know if you reviewed that here.
No, we won't.
No, yeah, not tonight.
Okay. OSTF?
I don't know that you've got the OSTF yet.
Yeah, it's here.
It's here. Yeah.
No, your requests are here, but
We only have the OSTF that the township department heads would like to.
right, I know, but that should go to OSTF first. Doesn't have to come here first. It's usually later and they have to review them anyway, so I'd rather get their recommendations, have them present. We already know what you've got.
I'm happy to return and go over any of it.
Yeah, I don't know that you'll need to, but. Okay, is that all, Mr. Kittner?
I think that's all I have.
And the playground is not in there in the OSTF.
What?
No, we haven't put the playground, but we have funding from previous year.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
from before, like around 4.
Or something like, yeah. Okay,
Any other questions for
yeah,
our
I need
engineer?
Yeah, I gotta get a new water bottle.
a break.
Does anybody need our engineer to stay here during our break?
No.
No, but
Thank you.
Break.
we want to thank him and his team.
More than that, don't let him treat you like that.
We want to thank him and the superintendent and Dave Barry and everyone else. Thank you.
Guys are awesome.
Thank you, committee. Thank you, Mayor.
Need some air conditioning after that.
I am freezing. I'm actually have to go get my.
Grant my request. I'm
I
happy
am
to help.
cold. I'm also gonna go test for COVID when I get home.
Oh, no.
I've been well for the last-
I think so.
Your thing is my thing. Come help me hand these papers down.
You share with some.
I'm going over there.
I know.
I know I will. I want to. I got the signatures already.
That's good. Hey Liz, if I get the ad to you by tomorrow, you'll be able to get it in next week's paper?
Boy, they skip.
Good.
Here,
See the
he has
struggle
one
on
thing
your
to do.
face.
Why did you look at me?
I want to make sure
I'm
we're
just
still
explaining
awake.
these. Oh, everybody gets one. They're taking it home. Then nobody has to deliver. These are good for you. I don't use these.
Okay,
You use them, right?
yeah,
Roger does dairy on you.
yeah, all the time. Miss Roger, Miss Roger already.
I talked to Roger twice today. He was,
Start putting in a good word for me, Roger. Tell him that you gotta take the CFO golfing.
Liz, I need an iPad.
What's that?
Did you put my iPad request in the,
Yeah, sounds about right.
I can do my work on my feet. I don't have to sit behind a barrier,
Oh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
huh?
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Right? Oh, here, you can park that.
I am not into long breaks. I want to go home.
You know. Break, the harder it is to come back.
How you been?
I've been good, Dean. How about yourself?
All right.
It's good to hear.
Oh, the audit, okay.
Yep.
Yay. For that.
Joe, her husband says that it seems like a lot of money for the street sweeper, so he actually asked if it was for one truck or two. He's had a little bit of experience there. so
Yeah, yeah, I
maybe
would,
some other pricing.
we'll let DPW know.
I can let Paul know, but still,
Mhm.
I mean, I am looking at the supporting material for like all the estimates.
Right.
For everything. but
Right.
Like. for-
Problem with equipment these days is it's long, lead time.
What'd you say?
Problem with a lot of the capital requests for equipment, vehicles.
Oh, I know, they're not gonna get them.
We're just getting in our 2021.
I know, like the police vehicles?
Yeah.
I didn't,
Battery pack at home.
you need a battery pack?
I do.
I got one, girl.
Cause my, I'm
iPhone, right?
on the last 10% of my phone. I purposely did not bring my laptop because I don't have to carry the heavy bag.
No, I got you.
You have the cord too? Cause I can go get my cord if you need it.
Yeah, yeah.
Cause I have an iPhone 12. I'm not paying for anything more until they give me a free phone. Cause that's how I am. Fiscally conservative.
There you go.
Okay, we ready?
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let's do this.
I know, it's tough.
Where's the fruit?
Fruit, what's that?
What fruit? What's that?
Look like
That's the stuff they
blueberries.
put on the
wrapped
side
up.
of the meat.
Isn't that
Okay,
what you
everybody
like
back?
decorate with?
That's the stuff you cook the meat in, fruit. A little bit.
What?
All
Oh,
right, here we go.
Okay,
All right, let's do this.
let's go. So,
Oh, you got a handout too? Want me to pass it along?
okay, we're behind schedule.
Yeah,
Clerk.
take and go. Oh, okay.
What did you hand out?
Your clerk municipal budget.
Wait, you both gave us clerk stuff from opposite ends? What?
What is this?
Is that pile supposed to be passed down?
Are we
or is
back
that different?
live, Ed?
No, it's only one thing.
Yes.
Oh,
We're back live, just FYI.
Oh, good, thank you.
What you mean?
mm-mm.
I have this, I don't know what.
Yeah, I got this one.
Okay. More?
General code. What's the other one besides general?
Thank
code?
you.
Now I don't think there is.
You're gone. She's now Michelle Wood.
Used to be,
Code 360? 360?
Yeah. No, it's all general code. They're cornering the market of municipal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
clearly. Okay,
we went to
so
her party once and we weren't,
impressed.
no, we weren't contracted with them and they were upset that we were there. Bad.
Okay,
Why is this? What is going?
so Ms. Ritson,
Hello there.
welcome to the meeting you're always at. Would you like to go into a description of the needs of the clerk's office?
Well, first I'm gonna give you the highlights, the
Yep.
achievements.
Sounds good.
So, I'm proud to say that on the achievement side, I mean, the number one achievement was the hybrid meetings in this township committee room.
Yep.
And utilizing the equipment that had been purchased by previous administration. And we saved the township thousands of dollars by reconfiguring the system and allowing for both in-person meetings and the option of participation via Zoom, which you all requested. And I'm not going to take total credit for it at all. It was a
Amari, and
true,
Mr. Daffis.
well, and we luckily found
Mr. Ware, sorry.
a contact from Mr. Weary, who was instrumental in coming here from Hoboken.
It was great.
He was great. So you know what? It was a real team effort to make this happen and be what it is now. And of course, Amari had a lot of, technical expert input, as well as Mr. Weary. I found that he was no slouch in the IT field.
Okay. Your second favorite?
Okay, well, I'm gonna give more than two. I really feel
Oh,
like
that's fine.
online forms, the department has pretty much in 2023 transformed all the options for residents to apply for so many forms. So many of our permits and parking online is a reality, parking for merchants, commuter, even our lots, even our overnight lot options, and on street for those 20 homes or so that qualify. Everything is now online. Document scanning, we've done a lot of that. We still have a lot more to go, but we started actually scanning resolutions, ordinances, and you'll see later on, I'm looking for a little bit of money to pursue that further. And the reason why I said I wanted to have 4, 5 or 6 achievements is in the back corner, I want to give Ed recognition. He became the township registrar. And I'm very, very proud of him. And, you know, we were able to get cut ties with South Orange, who for almost a year helped us with filling in. And again, Ed, congratulations. He's doing a super job. There's a lot of availability. We don't have appointment only anymore, and people just walk in and are serviced that way. So as you can see, I have a ton more achievements, but I'll just stop there.
How many Okra requests did you get and distribute?
Over
1,000.
1,500.
Okay.
So then, as far as our goals go, we want to continue providing more online forms and applications. And we're working on final touches for renewing ABC licenses. And only discussed just this morning was cannabis licenses. Mr. Weary, myself, and the township attorney discussed that. And we're looking forward to other documents that pass through the office. People really seem happy that they can do things online now. And I'm proud that we've been able to achieve that, as well as our bingos and raffle licenses, simple things like that. But you know what? We get a lot of them. So again, the document scanning storage program, I'm looking to definitely advance that further. So you have my narrative and you can see that I want to touch on one more thing.
Okay.
And that's the continued education of the department. Very, very important to me and to you as well. I know it is.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had Mr. Sorzinski become the registrar this year. He's also going to begin the registered municipal clerk certification classes.
Way to go,
And I spoke to the township committee a couple of years ago, you all remember, and I said, the only way to get this department up, moving and on its feet was for you to start to, you know, recognize that we were going to bring people in that had some knowledge, and also those that are interested in getting more knowledge, so that, you know, there could be a succession plan.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Right.
So again, we have had, I am a registered municipal clerk, a certified municipal clerk, and a certified municipal registrar. Now we have the deputy, who is also a registered municipal clerk and a certified municipal registrar. And the assistant to the township clerk is also a registrar. I'm really proud about that. And I'll stop there.
Okay. You said, now you handed out this code.
Yeah,
We need to update our code.
you want to
right?
see my budget and your budget? If you have any questions, of course, but I did give out the code because we need to move forward on this.
I think the township committee S&W is missing a 1 before the 24,000.
Yeah, I'm sure that
Where? Is it?
Mr. DeLuca's
No,
trying to
no,
get
no, he's
himself a
joking.
raise.
He's
Oh.
joking.
He's only kidding.
Proposing a $20,000 raise per.
I didn't
Yeah,
propose
first
it. I was just
step.
asking a question.
Okay. So the code, can you go?
All
back
right,
to
so
that?
yes. Some members of the township committee were here when we made the proposal to upgrade our code, and what I'm presenting to you tonight is we really haven't done anything in about 3 years, okay? And we need to invest a little bit of money, $10,380, to have general code go over the 59 updates we've provided since we became codified in 1995. So what it is 59, and that's a lot, 59 times, because we do about 4 per year. So figure out how many years that's been, that we need to have our legislation looked at, make sure it's correct. These are the laws of the Township of Maplewood, extremely important. And we're posting them, we're giving them out to, residents, contractors, and they need to be accurate. So we need general codes help, and they will go over all of our legislation, which is, I don't even know how long it would take for 1, 2, or 3 people to do it on our end. But 59 updates is a lot since 1995. We need to move forward.
So that's in your budget on line
That's correct.
120, 218?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's 21, it was 10, so now it's.
All right, any questions that you might have?
I do. I have a question on 110-203 special events.
I knew you would.
So we're going from 19,000, we spent about 11,000. I guess, Mr. Cloutier, these 2023 actuals, they're not like final actuals, right? They're up at some point, or are they close to final?
No, they're pretty close to final.
Okay,
Just the tails bills coming in.
Okay.
From December.
so we budgeted 19, we spent 11, and now you're asking for 45.
Yes.
And I believe there's also something in the administrator's budget
Yes.
about special events too.
Correct.
So what are we doing here?
Well,
They split them.
all right, go ahead.
Administration pays for 4th of July, and this pays for Juneteenth.
Mm.
I don't know why they're separate, but that's how they had been set up. So that's why, so there was 19 last year. She only spent 10, but it could be at least 30. Fireworks on their own, if they're of the size of that, July 4th, they can pay for Juneteenth.
We host, but we split the cost.
That's split though with South Orange,
Yeah,
right?
but-
Yeah. That's what we were
Juneteenth is
saying.
split with South Orange. And I also had a question why 4th of July wouldn't be on this list if all these other ones are too. That was my question. Because they have Memorial Day, Juneteenth. It feels like Veterans Day. It feels like heritage celebrations, that 4th of July maybe should be falling under this if the other ones are. I don't know.
Why can't they be all put in
Agree.
one line?
They could,
Yeah.
this is how they were in previous.
No, I
years.
understand that.
Maintain some continuity, but as long as everyone's okay with it, we can move it to.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it all in one.
Which one? Putting them in clerk or putting them in
Putting 'em in
administration? Okay,
She does.
I get it.
The permitting, yeah.
No,
So the listing here of Memorial Day and employee picnic and volunteer dinner, what is that about?
What do you mean, what is
So
that?
those are covered under, those are what we've been
covered under
covering in
that
the
line.
past? Okay.
Yes, and the incidentals. We get incidental pop-up celebrations that we must cover as well.
Okay.
Mayor, you know.
Yeah, and the heritage celebrations, we also get contribution from Community Services, Arts and Culture budget, right? Or they don't have a budget for
Not,
that?
Not all of it.
For July 4th of June.
No, it's usually-
No, heritage
I know.
celebrations.
That's correct.
No,
That was in her budget, yes.
Yes.
that's in my budget too, because
Yeah.
it depends on, what are we gonna provide during that celebration? I usually cover the food,
No, I'm just talking about the heritage celebrations
right?
In the park,
in the park and stuff.
those are different.
Those are different. Yeah.
We'll make
Okay.
sure that it's only in one place.
Okay.
Mr. Wary, you can also, why don't you include that in what we talked about with Ms. Mancuso?
Wait, just
About the calendar, about making sure we know what everything is, so we know how to budget it.
But I feel like there are some Heritage Months that you're talking about that community services sponsors with in-kind stuff, but then there's also Heritage Month stuff that we do here, like with the flag raisins when there's food? Is that what you're talking about? You spend
That's what
money
I'm
on?
talking about.
I think it's separate. I think it's versus events that we're co-sponsoring, producing with in kind versus stuff that we're doing that we have amenities as well, like like the lunches or the food that we have after flag raisings or here when we have events or whatnot. Like we've done stuff where there's.
That's what I call like the pop-up celebrations where we have them on the front of Town Hall on the plaza. And we have to provide everything for that particular day.
Right, so those things have come out of your budget traditionally and not community services?
No, I think no. I think like the pride stuff and all that.
That's what I was just thinking about.
community service.
That's community
Yeah.
services.
This
There's
is when we did
different.
like the Haitian flag raising and we did the luncheon after.
We ain't
would
doing
come out
that
of your
again.
budget.
We ain't doing all that food again.
and better, right.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what it is. There's a
Yeah.
difference between when community services is doing in kind or programming an event or running an event. It's different than when the clerk's office is providing. I agree that maybe it should be all tightened up, but I think they're two different things that you're
Yes.
talking about.
Yeah, that's why I want it. Oh,
There's one sometimes on
the
demand.
spreadsheet needs to have. Okay. Go ahead, move on. Anything else that you want to highlight? Or is it all, or any questions from my colleagues for any of the line items that
Nope.
Ms. Fritzen has? Nope. Okay.
I do have a question,
Oh.
yes. Back to codification, 120-218 is listed as 21,000, but I thought it's only 10,000.
That's
No, no,
what, that's what this
it's
is that we were
21,000, which includes the 10, Mr. Daffis, and also what we normally spend a
Right.
year just in
Voila.
modification updates.
Got it.
I have a question. I'm sorry. What's the green fair? Is that the thing that the green team used to put on or?
Yes.
So that hasn't happened in the past couple years and I don't think there's the green team is as active. So I'm not sure if we need.
Well,
So there may
assignment.
still be a green, so we're talking about, it's possible Sustainable Maplewood will become the official
green team.
green team for purposes of Sustainable Jersey. And for the points, we might have to do something like that.
That's a great idea, by the way, to have.
So I think to have the money there in case we do something.
I have a lot of ideas for that if you'd like to
There you
hear
go.
them.
Not now.
Not now,
I'm like,
in an off conversation.
And then, Mr. Wary or Ms. Fritzen, 120-221, soma.com. Is that what that is?
So SomaCom is Soma TV, and that's something I'd like to discuss.
okay, so just.
Please, please.
There's been a change in staffing at let me back. Soma TV is one, it's shared between Maplewood and South Orange. And we split the cost of the manager of the station. And then the school had partnered with us, one on providing space, but also on providing a staff member who helped with the taping, helped with the editing, helped get it up online. Last year, that staff person changed roles at the school and they're no longer available to help with Soma TV. So since sometime, maybe late summer, early fall last year, Soma TV hasn't put up any new content. And I spoke with the district. They don't have any intention on replacing that person in the same support role that we had before. So if we want Soma TV to continue, we would have to appropriate more money to hire to replace that role. And it would be rather involved and not just that, replacing the role, but the person who left said, it requires more work than even he was able to put in. So it's, not a small financial commitment. It would be shared between Maplewood and South Orange, which is helpful, but I think now's a good time to consider the benefit of Soma TV and weigh it against what would require an additional appropriation to keep it.
So who would do that work that we'd have to expend more money for the work that the guy went to the other place?
We would have to contract.
We'd have to contract it.
Yeah.
So is there, I think the discussion here then you want is it worth doing? Or
Yes.
not?
No.
And
Well,
I
no.
know. Well, I was gonna start losing control.
And the
of-
$7,200 would only continue to pay the the manager, executive director that we have in place now. On top of that, we would require additional funding.
And-
Does anybody watch anymore?
They do. I mean,
They do or they don't? I mean,
Some
what,
may,
look,
but I'll say two
if the
things.
school district wants to keep a TV studio, they should fund it, right?
correct.
They may have an interest in keeping a TV studio. They don't have an interest in supporting.
The cable channel.
Okay, got it. That's,
And as far as who watches it, I think that, there are some people who enjoy it, but I'll say that there hasn't been new content there since the
Right.
fall, and I haven't received a complaint. And at least in South Orange, their channel had mistakenly been turned off for almost a year and they hadn't received a complaint.
okay.
So
Plus, we have our YouTube channel where we could start putting more content
we could.
possibly, but we also have,
I think we'd be wiser to spend less money and start like a TikTok channel and reach more residents or something than fund the TV network if the school district
I'm
not
in favor
supporting
of
it anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
One last question. Did you reach out to South Orange about their willingness to co-fund this?
I did.
And
I don't want to speak for South Orange, but I don't think that they would.
okay, let me rephrase the question.
They don't.
Was
think-
your impression that they would be interested?
My impression is that that they're having the same conversation that we're having. That's my understanding, is
Okay.
that they're weighing the benefits versus the cost, and they would be, my understanding, again, is that, would be serious consideration on continuing with this.
Yeah, I mean, my feeling is no also. And, I got to interact with the person who runs Soma TV the past couple of years, and it was always frustrating to her that the school district didn't prioritize her segments, her studio time, and that someone wasn't available to help her edit content when she did create content. So if the school district's not going to be behind this, why are we paying for it?
I think we have.
I think we have agreement, no.
majority here.
I think we have it.
Thank
So that would be 0 now?
We may have some lingering costs from this year, but it would be substantially less than 7,200.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to highlight? Ms. Fritzen? No?
I'm good.
No more questions, right? We were there a minute ago, about 10 minutes ago, when we got to another thing. So we're done with the clerk's office.
Yours.
You may go over to that seat now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Fritzen.
Oh, no, you're.
Thank you.
You're right.
I have that engine.
Administration,
Sorry.
Mr. Weary. Jones.
I'm
have
wondering
handouts
where
too.
yours was.
Oh, my
Of course, of
goodness.
course.
That
Brevity
was
is
double-sided.
appreciated.
Oh,
Just noticed that this is even printed out.
thank you, sir.
Okay, Patrick, remember my goal of time. 9, yeah. That'll only be a 15-hour day.
Have to list yourself on the critical professionals.
Okay,
This year.
ready when you are, Mr. Weary.
So, let me get it up on Zoom here. Okay. 23 accomplishments. These are just the real high level ones. So, transitioned our healthcare plans from the state health benefits plan to a municipal HIF, which is this year resulting in over $100,000 of savings just in 1 year. We went from what would have been over a 7% increase if we had stayed in the state health benefits plan to a little over a 4% increase by moving to the HIF. And there's an expectation that as healthy municipalities leave the state plan, it will just become more and more expensive for those who have no other option but to stay in. So we're fortunate that we had an opportunity to move out. Also give credit to our employees because it was really a very, very smooth process. And this has a big impact on employees. This is their healthcare and the network that they have their doctors with. And so we did a good job of matching the healthcare network and, providing equal to or better than benefits. But, they did a lot in understanding why we were making this move. They also, since they pay Chapter 78, they have a stake in this as well. So they have some incentive to move. So we're really, that was a big accomplishment this year.
Mhm.
We implemented the salary study of non-union employees. which one ensures equity for the employees that we do have, but also it helps us maintain competitiveness as we compete for employees with surrounding municipalities. As the clerk had indicated earlier, we moved to hybrid township committee meetings, increasing access and participation. And lastly, we had a good number of appointments or hires last year that were very critical to the operation of our government. So we have a new township attorney after our 30-year attorney employee left. We hired a new DPW superintendent, a new construction official, and our new business administrator, Shebra, who's showing with us tonight. So those were all very crucial hires and will certainly set us up for a successful 2024. Our goals for this year, continue to work with the township committee and department heads to support their initiatives. That's the biggest task of administration is really to carry out the work that you give us and to support department heads in carrying out the work that you give to them as well. Communication is top of our list. We have a lot of good things that we're doing here in Maplewood, and we have good outflow, though not coordinated and maybe not as kind of concise and as productive as we want it to be. So certainly our goal for 2024, one of the things that we've included in this budget to help us achieve that goal is to fund a full-time public information officer for the township. And you'll see that as we go through the budget. We want to increase our one-on-one interaction or personal interaction with our staff, community partners, and public outside of town hall. So we had a lot of work last year, and me starting this role new, and Ms. Jones starting at the end of the year. This year, I think it's important that we get out and speak with the Department of Public Works employees, speak with the police department employees, make sure we're going to events at the libraries and engaging in things that are going on in town. Because I think that'll help us, make those relationships, hear directly from people about what their concerns are and how we can do better. So that's a goal of the department for next year. Employee morale and maintaining a high level of morale is an interest of ours. Cybersecurity and evaluating our technology needs is something that Ms. Jones has an interest in personally and is looking forward to taking on this year. We're negotiating all of our collective bargaining agreements. And I'll stop with the last thing, securing leadership roles with partner organizations to advocate for Maplewood. So we were fortunate in that the GIF that we just became a member of was setting up their executive board, and I had expressed interest. So I am on the executive board for the HIF, and I am starting some participation with our GIF as well. Start with their safety committee, but I think the more we can get involved with those organizations, the more we can advocate, not just for Maplewood, but for the ideals that we set for ourselves. We can start to see those play out and advocate for those ideals as well in the groups that we're a part of. So those are things we're looking forward to for 2020.
Okay.
And
You want to run through highlights of your line items?
budget. And I could just highlight some of the larger changes. So under the salaries line, we have included in that line the increase of a full-time public information officer. The line 100-205, we had gone well over that last year. Part of the reason was this line paid for the mailer that was sent out early in the year for recycling. And I think there were some other leaflets stuffed inside there. That was about $8,000 that we paid for that. And we also had a new phone contract that went into that. The professional services line, 100-211, changed. It actually went down from last year. That line last year had paid for the compensation study, which was just over $20,000. I need to look, we may have a little bit more room in that line as well to go a little further down. We'd also paid for Brown & Brown out of that line for the work that they were doing as we ramped up to go over to the HIF. And I think that
okay.
some of that will be reflected in our insurance lines. So we'll take a look and see if that can go down a little bit.
Okay.
You'll hear from the Community Coalition on Race, Springfield Out Partnership,
Right.
with Village Alliance and YouthNet at another event. The last line in that section, 100-229, I'd asked the CFO when I spoke about this. We have claims or losses where we need a place to charge them. So for an example, we have computers that are stolen. We need to buy computers. We get reimbursed from the GIF. sometimes it's difficult to track where those expenses are so that when we get reimbursement, we can apply it correctly. We'll have this line kind of as a way to do that. The charge will go to this line.
Someplace for it to live, right?
Right.
Okay.
We also include IT in my department, so that's down on the 140 lines. There's not much change that is here from last year, but we are, we do need to get a more specific budget with our IT vendor, and that's something that we're working on now. And I don't think it'll change the numbers much, but I do want to get a better understanding of where we are with IT. The next lines we're covered under are for legal. That's 155. And the changes there, the township attorney had been paid with salary and wage because they were an employee. Now it'll go to another expense line. And we increased it some from what we were paying Mr. Desiderio.
Yeah.
I think that the township needs tremendously from his dedication to Maplewood, and I have some expectation, not that our new township attorney is any less dedicated, but I have some expectation that the cost will increase some. That township attorney line, things that Mr. Desiderio we're doing, that'll be split across the township attorney line and the defense of, no, there's another one here, miscellaneous legal expenses line as well.
So while you're talking about that, I think we should all remember that every time we contact our new attorney, it's it's based on an hourly basis, right?
Mm.
So before,
There's some portions of that, yes. So
Right.
when they're preparing for attending meetings.
right,
it's kind of all wrapped up in one cost, but yes,
Right.
anything beyond that.
right. So we just got to remember that it's a little different than when we have Mr. Desiderio, that he was
It was all-
available 24/7 pretty much.
Right.
I mean, they're still available to us, but I think we have to work through you before we
Correct.
contact them for anything.
And at least in the month now that Ms. Credidio has been working with us, she's cognizant of that as well. And so we're working pretty well together on making sure she's only addressing the things that require her attention.
So do you want to think about that, or do you have an ask of us now? Should we just go through you directly, completely on all legal questions and have you contact her? Or do
It's a
you,
little case sensitive. So if you had a
Okay.
conversation with her that required follow-up, I think it's appropriate. I should be up to speed
Involved,
on anything you're
right.
talking to.
yeah,
Not-
always.
But as far as whether you can contact them and keep me up to speed, if it's something you're working on with them that requires specific follow-up, I think that's appropriate.
Okay,
But at the same time, if you have new issues, absolutely, I want to take the first crack at trying to handle it in-house.
okay. And so ordinances, is that wrapped up in the meeting costs? Okay, so any ordinance that comes as a result of our discussion or our desire to have an ordinance drafted?
That's right. Drafting and reviewing ordinances and resolutions is a flat.
Okay,
What about attendance at subcommittee meetings? Because in code committee, we have a ton of new ordinances that we're looking at.
Yeah.
Which would be great to have feedback while we're having a discussion during code.
Code committee meetings will be outside of the flat fee. So
Right.
once they put it first on the agenda. Ms. Credidio would attend and would relieve her.
might be better to like give her the information background anytime there's
Still gonna
something.
charge us because you're going to review it.
Right.
Correct. Yeah.
No, I know, but you know how meetings can go a little longer than somebody reviewing actual information. So, yeah,
That's fair.
yeah, I'm just saying, like, if she has the backup information first, then she can be at the top of your agenda, Mr. Daffis, and then, be a little more succinct.
The next lines that are,
I'm sorry, I just want to stay with, you zeroed out the affordable housing attorney. And we need to have something in there. We had 3,000, we only used $71, but we do contact them to get, when we're doing deals or any kind of analysis,
What's your recommendation?
I would just put the 3,000 back.
I had, there was no appropriation in that line last year, but I'll take a look at that. If it was 3,000, we'll find.
Yeah, especially in light of the new bill.
Yeah, the new
We're
bill
going,
is.
we're going
Right.
to need
We're
analysis.
going to want them to give us the analysis of the new bill and,
Yeah, like how
Understood.
many
I'll take a look.
units.
okay.
Right, and then the last piece under administration is insurance. So going down to the 23, followed by all zeros, and get there.
Wait, where's it?
All right, so
Oh,
this is
you skipped over, seed.
Yeah.
Community development.
I had a question about the seed
Oh,
consultants, the Foodie Town thing. Is that still the communications person? Because wouldn't that lump into the public information officer scope? Is that what that is?
It's a lot, personally.
I'm still against hiring that. I'm not, I know I don't go to the seed meetings because I'm not on that committee, but I do not support hiring a consultant to pitch that one angle.
The direction that was given to administration from this subcommittee was to hire a consultant to do Foodie Town marketing. And so that would be supported by that line.
Well,
So I
Oh, wait,
still
wait.
believe that that should be part of the public information officer
We were skipped
position, and
past
I would
Yeah,
say we
it was,
strike.
it was, I had raised it and you were going to check who is out there that might be able to work and better understand what services they can provide. It may be different than communication. It may be sort of a strategic type thing, which is different than communication.
Mhm.
So we don't know yet because we haven't gotten any of the information. So we didn't say to go out and hire anybody. We said, get the information on who might be hired. And it could very well be that when we see what's coming in, we say that if we have a communications person, that we can handle it through our communications person.
Right.
I still think this should be brought to the communications committee, which it has not been brought to because it is a marketing communications thing to do that kind of.
I'm not sure if it's a communications committee. I mean, happy to bring it to the communications committee, but I'm not sure it's a communications thing. But again, happy to bring it there. I'm on communications with you, so happy
You
to
are.
discuss it there.
Great.
But
I just think if you're talking about branding the town as a foodie town and you're trying to do market, I mean, this is my background, right? As a marketing professional, and it all is combined. And if you're going to have a communications, that's how they're going to think about it. How are we talking about our town? What are the storylines we want to be doing? What is,
So that may be true, but it still may be an expenditure above the public information person, right? So we can determine who's going to shepherd this along once we find out what we're even thinking about.
yeah, I mean, yeah, a PIO's responsibility is not branding usually. And I've talked to PIOs in other towns.
well, I think we need to think about what it is that we actually need in Maplewood then as far as a public information officer, because we have a very engaged community and we have trouble talking to our community, which is more consumer PR than a public information officer. We're not the state, right? We're looking at, we have things come in. Do we need to do a press release? Who's writing the press release? Who's doing the social media content? Who's creating the graphic? Who's writing the copy? Who's coordinating with community services and health and making sure who's making that page where we have one, who's updating our website, right? We need a more of a consumer PR person than a thought leader. I mean, we need a thought leader, but it's all wrapped in. That's what we need.
That may be true, but what we're looking at is for other towns that have marketed themselves as food towns, what have they done and who have they used to do it? And that's the
Yeah.
information that we're looking
Yeah,
at.
yeah. Montclair, for instance, used a consultant to market themselves as a foodie town above and beyond and outside of their budget and within the PIO's responsibility. Right? So that's another example. And I think we decided that we wanted to market ourselves as a foodie town as a low-hanging fruit, as a start into other branding and marketing.
Right, but again, this has not come to the communications committee, and I am a big no on spending $20,000 on hiring a consultant for a marketing campaign.
Time out. This is not, but this is not that.
Right,
So every year we put $25,000 in seed
yeah.
for consultants because this is where we hire Paul Greigel's firm.
Planner. Yep.
The movie theater stuff. So we just put 20,000. So that's not 20,000 for food. That's 20,000 in general.
Right. It says AINR in there, comma, foodie
I
town.
guess I'm just reacting to the foodie town, so I'm just saying for the record, for the third
Every
time that I
year-
disagree with
Every
that
year we put
approach.
25,000 in seed just to give us the ability to do studies, to bring in people to help us think through like our planner and things like that. That's what this is. Just that foodie was one thing that we talked about as getting some information about. So we're not talking about paying $20,000 to anybody to market.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
So I understand the, and obviously, should we move forward with any consultant, we'll come back before, depending on the price, come back before the TC for award or at least come back before a subcommittee for review. We're
Correct.
still very early on, but I want to make, in the budget, I want to make clear two things. One, that line under seed, it had been budgeted last year for $20,000. We spent less than 5. So I put Foodie Town in that line so that there was an understanding that there may be an additional need this year beyond what we spent.
Additional expenses, right? Yeah.
Look for places. I don't know. Keep that in mind when you. Going down to the general insurance lines. So there's some change here in the JIP lines, which are under liability insurance and workers' comp lines. We obviously had some relief in that the fire department is now no longer in these lines, especially for workers' comp, where there may be a high rate of claims with that line of work. Unfortunately, at the same time, the JIF's overall increase this year was 12%. And so where we, would have liked to otherwise see some savings in that line, they were all but erased from that increase. And in addition, we'll see an increase in the fire line because the fire department other expense is now paying part of this the insurance that SEFT pays for, and it's no longer captured in this line. So there's kind of a lot moving here, at least to keep in your mind. And employee group health, you see there towards the bottom, and what we had a better, a more favorable increase going to the HIP, still over 4% of an increase. So that's what's driving those. Questions?
No, not from me.
That would be the same thing with group insurance premiums and all that. We've taken out the firefighters, right? But we haven't seen anything really going down.
No, and
No.
workers' comp, as from a fire department, workers' comps, we're going to see a lot of claims. So they may be less. That might be less true for the liability reduction with SEFD going off in other lines, like the what is it? Yeah, like the liability.
Okay.
What's the EFT quarterly assessment at 7,000,003?
What line are you on?
265-224.
Oh, okay.
That's the line
SCFT.
used to pay their bill.
Yeah.
That's the annual bill, though. That's not a quarterly bill.
Well, we pay them quarterly, but.
Right.
It is a quarterly assessment.
Yeah,
The number reflected there is the annual.
that's why I asked. I was like, that can't.
That
be work.
includes our estimate of EMS, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Ms. Jones, did you have anything you wanted to add?
In terms of the cybersecurity, I just want to share that, as Mr. Weary mentioned, we are in the process of preparing the cybersecurity training for our staff. So that information will be shared with all staff so that they can complete the training to better protect us moving forward. So,
And we should attend those things too, right?
absolutely.
So I can learn how to use Barracuda?
Yes.
Oh, I know, right?
Thing that comes through Barracuda as a practice.
Or just
Do you have
deliver
any
all,
capital
deliver
items?
all. And let me delete the.
You need a
thing that I-
car?
No.
Put it in the junk folder, so they're automatically gonna go there from then on.
All right. I think we're done with administration, right?
We are.
Seems to be. Do we have any public comment? There's no one online, Mr. Wary, still?
There's no public online, Mayor.
So that means you can't have YouTube people raise their hands, so
I move we adjourn.
I was just.
Second.
Right. I can't finish my sentence. All right.
Say yes.
Yes.
Mr. DeLuca.
Yes.
Ms. Engel.
Yes.
Mayor Adams.
Yes, thank you all.
Good night.
6.
Good night.
Right.